Jello. Hello, hello, hello. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? And everything in between, as I always like to say. We are live, I believe, now. And it looks like we're in the flow. Nice to see everybody. My name is Dustin Cormier. And you are watching another Canadian episode of How to Rock Astrology. Yes, it is awfully cold here in Canada. That's why we wear lumberjack sweaters and long hair. That's how we do. And I'm in a new space. Well, same space. Still my cottage, but I've got a new funky background happening. Hello, Monica. Nice to see you, my friend. And nice to see everybody who's piling in. Today, folks, we are engaging in another episode of our live readings. Yes, that's correct. You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be engaging in the ancient practice of live public forum readings. I don't know if I would call it ancient, but it's ancient for me. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I had some funky stuff going with my mic a little while back there, but it looks like we're good now. So today we are engaging another episode of live readings. I am always happy to be joining with my live crew, my people hanging out with me, you who are watching, and those who are watching at home either now or later in the stream. It is nice to be connected with people, and it is nice to be doing these things. So now, usually when I do these sessions, I usually have it all packed up into one type, but I'm just going to start playing with something today. I think today we're going to begin by availing the first reading to whoever's here. Everybody's going to get a chance on the first reading to get a reading. The second reading of the day is going to be for members only. And then if we are to do a third reading, it is going to be a paid reading by donation. And anybody who is interested, you can always... All right, I got to get my stuff together here. For anybody who's interested in donating for that third reading, you can donate here that I've got in the comments. That's my PayPal link. You can just click it right from your phone or right from at home in the comments section. So you have a chance to fit yourself in for that third reading. But they're all the same. This is just I'm trying things out today. I'm trying out to see how that flow goes. I digress. That is our session today, folks. And I'm happy to be here doing it with you. So I recently made a cool little thing. Let's see. Ephemerides. So I'm going to take a quick peek at the present transiting planets in the sky right now. What's most significant to me is that the moon is currently in the sign of Cancer. It's been there for about a day, about 2 days. It's usually 2.5 to 3 days that the moon spends in the sign. And we're gearing up for a full moon in Leo, and that's going to be opposite Pluto-ish. Pretty wide orb, all things considered. But still relevant, still significant for us. That's going to be probably Sunday, Monday. The moon is going to be in Leo, and it's going to be opposite all this stuff happening in the sign of Aquarius. And of course, that's going to, Leo and Aquarius are, backsides of each other. Leo has Aquarius for its backside, and Aquarius has Leo for the same. Now, I'm going to get my comments going here so I can see what everybody's talking about. I was just wondering if... And I'm going to kill the sound. So, what I was telling everybody recently is that it's a nice thing when the moon is in this position. I've got to make sure you guys can see me. Dear, oh dear. Okay. Yeah, there I am. Hello. So, it's nice that we've got this moon with Jupiter at present in the sky. In fact, I looked outside. Today's Saturday. Today's Sunday? Today's Saturday. And I looked out at the moon last night while I was going on my meditation walk, and you could see that there's a little dot beside Jupiter, and I thought that was really amazing. So I guess my comments aren't working on my phone anymore. I'm over it. Now, it's interesting that Saturn is still in Pisces, which means we're still, anything that's in Pisces right now is getting a beautiful, blessed boost, because the Lord of Pisces, which is Jupiter, is in the sign of Cancer, where it's exalted. And it's still there for a while. It's going retrograde right now. And once it's out of retrograde, you know, it's probably about by August-ish, August of 2026, that Jupiter's finally going to come into Leo. It's going to be opposite Pluto. And some say that's when Barbeau's basket is really going to happen. If you guys know about Barbeau's basket, that's where Pluto is in Aquarius, Neptune is in Aries, and Uranus falls into Gemini. The handle of the basket is going to be Jupiter in Leo. So that's going to be an important time. Could possibly see some interesting things involved, emerging in history, as there already is. Things are very whack in all sorts of places right now. And it's really no coincidence that we're having this transit. But I digress. The reason I brought this up is because anytime, while Jupiter's in Cancer, anytime the moon falls into Cancer, we're going to have a nice, huge guru energy boost, which we're currently having today. When the moon is trine to Jupiter, it's going to be a nice thing. But it's especially when the moon falls into Pisces as well. Every time the moon falls into Pisces, there's an exchange. The moon, which rules Cancer, is in Pisces, and Jupiter rules Pisces is in Cancer. So that's a nice energy to be having for today. Hello, everybody. Nice to see some folks piling in. Melody Addict. It's nice to see you. And I knew that would be Toxica. Robbie, it's nice to see you. Yes, Saturn enters Aries on Valentine's Day. Kind of an interesting thing happening there. Saturn is still conjunct Neptune, no matter how you dice or slice it. But when Saturn and Neptune are together in Aries, Saturn's going to be fully in Aries. It's going to be there. Melody Addict. Sure, I'm going to call you Melody Addict, Toxica. Happy birthday to your mom, and thanks for hanging out with us here. So we got some interesting transits happening in the sky overall right now. You know, it's a bit of a crazy time in history, as we've said. But when the moon falls in Cancer, like it does today, we have a guru energy boost. That's why I'm going to start saying it on my channel. Hey, everybody, there's that thing happening, which is the moon is, when it's in Pisces and when it's in Cancer. In particular, the moon is in a good, happy place. Now, keep in mind, hello there, student, by the way, student 1992. When the moon is transiting the sign of Scorpio right now, the moon is in its debilitation point. It's a dark place for the moon to be. It's a hard place. We often have emotional confrontations from the heart when it's transiting the short period, 2.5 days that it transits Scorpio. But again, because Jupiter is in Cancer, the moon is getting a benefit from that. So it's a powerful thing, especially for anybody like me who has lots of stuff in Scorpio. When the moon transits Scorpio, it's trine Jupiter, some very nice darkness can be worked out. No worries, Monica. Glad to have you here. So keep your eyes open for any time that the moon is trine Jupiter right now. And, you know, I'm a reflector in human design, so I'm affected by all things going on with the moon. But I digress. So there's lots going on in my world. Hello there, Neshati. Nice to see you. Just so everybody is aware, yes, we are doing live readings today. I'm going to let a few people come in so everybody gets a chance to get a reading today. Our first reading of the day is going to be all about, we're going to have readings for everybody who's here. Nice to see you, Maui Logic. A real pleasure to have you here hanging out with us. Yes. Yeah, I've got K2 in Cancer. So whenever there's anything going on with the moon, with Cancer in particular, I'm a happy chap. At least when there's good things happening, like Jupiter being exalted there. It's been great. Jupiter has been exalted, and it's been nothing but good things for me in my personal world, in my personal life. Yes, there are crazy things happening in politics, but I think it's a very positive thing that Jupiter is exalted while the 3 outer planets are transiting air and fire signs at the same time. Especially while the North Node is in Pisces. To have Jupiter exalted, because Jupiter rules Pisces, it's been a very auspicious time, everybody. A very auspicious time to look within, to connect with the soul, and to give things space. A very Jupiter phrase. It's very important for us to give things space. While I've spent a lot of time myself going out into nature. Out here at my dad's cottage, I would go out to a forest, and my brain wants to think about certain things, but I just let it go. I listen to the silence. If you get a chance to, while Jupiter's exalted in Cancer, find some times, because Cancer is within us. Cancer's our soul. Cancer's the moon. Cancer is our relationship, our connection to the cosmos. Awesome, student. I'm glad to hear that you're finding new friends in the new city that you're living. Jupiter in Cancer would do that. Jupiter is always going to be doing good for anything, but especially when it's exalted. So that's what's nice about where we're at right now. I love that you're so into nature, Monica. Maui Logic is also going to get a bit of a boost when, well, Maui Logic, it sounds to me like you are Cancer rising, so it's good for your whole chart to have Jupiter exalted there. So we are at the top of our session today. We are at the top of our, kind of at the top of the hour. We've been going for a little bit. We're about 15 minutes in. Now, it's very unfortunate that my phone is not letting me read comments on this live video. I think I got to reinstall my YouTube app or something. But I'm over it. Not that big a deal. Great point, Robbie. Robbie's always kicking things up from the ground here with me. When Jupiter's exalted, it's going to bring goodness to the houses that are ruled by Jupiter in your chart. For example, for me, I'm a Leo rising, and in my chart, Jupiter rules the 5th house of Sagittarius and the 8th house of Pisces. And that's giving me a huge boost to my 5th house and my 8th house. I've been writing books. I've been very creative in this period. In fact, I'm writing like crazy. And that's probably going to be a theme for me in my life, as you guys will see soon as time goes on. I will be releasing some books in due time, and I'm very excited about that. You know, so just to give everybody a peek at what we're talking about here. So this is my chart. This is Leo rising, Chiron here. And while Jupiter is transiting Cancer, as we know it to be at this present time, Jupiter is transiting Cancer. That is my 12th house, which is doing good for the sign of Cancer. It's doing good for the moon. And it's very nice for me that the moon falls in Sagittarius. Because, again, anything that you've got in Sagittarius and Pisces is being boosted right now because Jupiter is transiting exalted in its exaltation point. So that's a very nice thing. So, now folks, we're 15 minutes in. Let's start reeling it in, and let's start beginning our first reading for today. Now, most of the folks that are chilling with us at the moment are folks that are usually chilling with us at the present time. Usually as time goes on, usually as the session goes on, we find more people piling in. But we must begin at some point, so let's rock and roll here, folks. Let's begin our first reading of the day. Thank you, Monica. That's very sweet of you. But I don't mind. For this first one, we don't have too many people here at the present time. It's Saturday, and I'm feeling out getting different people in here for different days. I'm trying out Saturday. But yeah, let's do our first reading, everybody. Let's jump into it. This first reading is going to be a free one. Now, the second reading of the day is going to be for channel members. And we have a few members hanging out with us today already. If you are interested in being a member of my show, of my channel, what you want to do, let's see here. I'm going to go view my channel. There will usually be a thing that says our members. Thank you to our channel members. And you can click join. And this button join is going to allow you to be a part of our membership program. And when you're a member, you're going to be able to have a chance to get readings in when we do the membership section of these readings, which will be the second reading today. So for now, for all who are watching, we do have a few people watching live now, so let's get started. Who is here, who is present, and who would like a reading? Say hello. Feel free to say hi, I'm interested in a reading. And you will have a chance to get a live reading from me today. It'll be about a half an hour. We usually go through the big three. I basically take a look at everything going on in the chart. We'll talk a little bit about what the transits going on at the present time might be providing you. Hello there, Shivam Kava. Hey there, student. Nice to see you here as well. Get your names in, folks. Say hello. Put your hand up or whatever. You can say hi. And now is the chance to make yourself known in the chat box so that you can get a reading today. So far, we have 3 people who are interested. Thank you, Melody. That's very sweet of you to say that. Glad to have you here listening. And I think that's the proper thing to do. Let's give people a chance who haven't gotten a reading yet. So we have 3 people so far who have an opportunity for a reading. Today, it's a free one. For this first reading, we've got a free reading today. You don't got to be a channel member. You don't got to donate any money. You've just got to have your name in here. So we've got Shivam Kava. We got student 1992. We've got Eduardo Barboza. We've got Maui Logic. And I want to make sure we've also got Noura. Shivam Kava, student 1992, Eduardo Barboza, Maui Logic, and Noura. Gregory Scott George, thank you, Maui Logic. I'll call you Gregory. Thank you, Gregory, for being here with us and being a part of our reading today. We've still got people coming in, so I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. If you're watching, now you have an opportunity for a live reading. We have 5 people who have signed up. If you're interested in a live reading and you're just joining us, put your name in the chat box and say, hey, I'm here. I'm interested in a reading. And you will have a chance to get a free live reading for this first session. The next session is going to be particularly for members, in particular, people who are members of the stream. So it looks like at the moment, again, we've got 5 people here. I usually like to leave as much time as possible to let people come in. That's sweet. So this is our live reading, everybody. If you're just joining live now and you want a reading, feel free to say hello, as we've got 5 people who have done so already. And we've got a few people who are jumping in. Hello there, Marzarino. Marzarino, you're in. Nice to have you here. Marzarino, if you are interested in a reading, I would always recommend, if you've got your birth time, it's a little bit, we could do more astrology for people who do have their birth time, although it's still possible to do a reading for you if you don't have your birth time. So let me know if you have it or not. Nisha T, nice to see you here as well. Yes, Monica, you most certainly can include a reading for one of your kiddos. So Monica, I'm going to put you in here. And thank you. That's a great idea. And thank you for counting yourself in there, Monica. You do so much for me. I'm happy to have you. That's a fair question, Robbie, but because Monica is their mom, you know, I would consider she's the guardian. If she decides to do this, I'll be happy to do it for Monica. Monica is somebody who I got big respect for moms. Moms know what's best. So, Monica, we are certainly going to include you. So for everybody watching, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible contenders. We have Shivam Kava, and remember, this is for people who are interested in a reading. We have Shivam Kava, a student 1992, Eduardo Barboza, Maui Logic, aka Gregory, Nura, Mars Sereno, Nisha T, and Monica for her kiddo. So let's do it. You know, we can wait forever. Let's rock and roll here, everybody. For all those who are watching, we are about to embark on our first free reading. And I know I believe somebody just joined. So again, if you're watching live, you have a chance for a free reading. So put your name in and say, hello, I'm interested in a reading, if you are just joining and you would like to have a reading. But let's do it. Like I said, we can always, I like to give everybody time to come in, but we can only go so long with bringing people in. Okay, Mars Sereno, I got you at 11. So I'm gonna pick our name first, and then I'll be asking for everybody's birth information. So we got 9 people here. Let's do the thing, everybody. Now is the time. I'm going to think of a number, and then I'm just going to drill through and pick one of these names based on the number that I pick. We got a small amount of people for this first one today, so I'm going to go with a number like 23. And I'm going to start at the bottom of the list. So now we are choosing our first contestant. Again, we have 9 people who are doing this free live reading. Now is your chance. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Again, I know always when I just get started, we always get more people in. We now have 11 viewers. If you just joined us live, please feel free to say hello if you're interested in a reading. If you want our first reading today is just free for everybody who's here. We're going to pick a name and we're going to pick a number. So again, if you're watching now, if you want a free reading, say hello and feel free to include yourself. Going once, going twice. All right, very good. So I've got my number 23. I've got my list of people. Now I'm going to start from the bottom and I'm going to go blah, 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 until I land on the name that I'm seeking today. We have, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I have landed on student 1992. Congratulations, student 1992. You have been chosen, if you dare, to get our free, complimentary half-an-hour reading today. Just for hanging out with me and being on this channel, you are the first person to get a reading. Student 1992 is still with us. Excellent. So, student, I can call you student. I can call you whatever you feel like being called, if you should feel like being called anything else, but I'm happy to call you student. Congratulations. I'm not sure if I've done a reading for you yet, student, but I'm happy to be doing it for you. I've seen your name here on my channel, so I'm glad to be doing this for you. And I'm glad and I appreciate you hanging out with me, hanging out with my team, my folks here who always hang out with me on these readings. We are very happy to have you and to do this reading for you. So, student, keep in mind, I should always give this caveat beforehand, but again, I know you've been watching for a bit, so I know you know what this is about. This is a live reading. Cool. Student it is. Now, this is a live reading in a public forum. So, of course, when I do these readings, I always say the same thing, you know. Our intention is not to pull your skeletons out of the closet here. But because I am Virgo Swamsha and I am chock full of Scorpio energy, I often go digging into a chart and will see things and speak to things because I'm ultimately looking to really do astrology here. To help to heal, to help bring self-reflection and self-realization. After all, we should all know and recognize that this practice of astrology is really a limb of a deeper running current. Astrologers are a part of the ancient mystical game of divine self-realization. The idea in Indian mysticism and the idea of Hare Krishna, you know, if you really understand a lot of the of the Dharma, the Sanatan Dharma is really a great way to put it. The Sanatan Dharma suggests that we are all divine. When you think of a lot of the great Indian Vedic mantras, Om Bhur Bhuva Svaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Tiyo Yona Prachodayat. The light of reality, the light of consciousness, is indeed a worthy engagement, and it is divine. That's what that whole mantra means. And we are looking to focus on that divine light of consciousness. And that light of consciousness inside of all of us is the soul. It's the living, eternal, infinite essence of the universe. The universe is alive, and we are its fingers, and our fingers have consciousness, and that consciousness is a glint of the original light source, and it is divine. Om Bham Bhagavate Vasudevaya. That's the light of everything is divine. And so that is what we are doing as astrologers. So we are appreciating, delving into the divinity of the self. That being said, sometimes in order to see the light, we have to see the shadow. And we have to embrace the shadow, move through it, move with it. And that's often what we do with these readings. Now, student, my friend, I know you've been with these readings before, so I know you know what it's about. Now, student, my friend, I'm not sure if you gave your time up here, but student, do me a favor, put your birth time in the comments. If you put your birth time in the comments, I will be able to start pulling your chart together. Ideally, I'll get your birth time, I'll get the place that you're born, and I will get the date that you were born. Try to put it in a month, day, year format. So that's like, you know, the month goes first, and then the day, and then the year. Just so we're not confused. if you have a birth and it's like 11/2/1992. Okay, good. So 17. Right. So so you're August 17th, 1992. Perfect. All right, thank you, student. So I'm going to get your chart going here. Student. Now, I believe what I heard is August 17th, 1992. Oops. Let's make sure. There we go. Beautiful, Gregory. August 17th, 1992. Thank you, my friend. At 7:14 in the morning. 7:14 in the morning. Student, really, it doesn't technically matter. But I always like to know if the person identifies with any particular pronouns. If you are male, if you are female, if you identify yourself in any way, or anything in between. I'm an LGBTQ+ two-spirit ally, and so if you don't jive with typical genders, you are very welcome and happy here, and you can identify that way. Emsburen. Okay, Lower Saxony. Hopefully this is correct. So I've got Emsburen, Niederraschen, Lower Saxony. And this looks like the only Emsburen that we have in our atlas, so this should be correct. And you're a little bit cuspy, but it looks like you've got a pretty consistent, you've got a very specific birth time. So it looks like you're probably okay. You're probably a Virgo rising. Yes. Very interesting. I love me some Virgo energy. Cool. So Virgo rising energy seems it would be correct for you. And you are a female. Thank you, student. You know, the energies of astrology do cater to gender. Air signs and fire signs are masculine energy. Earth and water are feminine. Some of the planets have either more or less feminine or masculine energy. And that's correct, Robbie. I am a Virgo Swamsha, and I'm born very close in time to our friend's student here. So I also have Venus and Jupiter in the sign of Virgo. It's interesting that you were born in 1992, student, and you have these two planets here. So congratulations, you've got a very similar Virgo and very similar Venus to me. Now I wonder if that Venus is combust. Mercury is combust. Oh yes. Yeah, wow, very interesting. Even though they're so far away, that Mercury is still considered combust. Combustion's kind of funny that way. So now we're checking out what we are getting on here. So, student, congratulations. It looks like I have everything I need to do your reading here today. So, folks, if you're watching live, this is our first reading. Our first reading of the day is going to be a free one. The next reading after this is going to be specifically for channel members. And if you are interested in being a channel member, in order that you can get a chance to get that type of reading when you want to, you can go to my channel, How to Rock Astrology. You come down a little bit, somewhere along the way, you're going to find something that talks about our channel members. And you can join my channel membership. It's about $3 a month. By doing so, you support me in doing what I do here on my channel. And as well, you get a chance on days like this to get a reading, to be first in line for these readings. Hello there, Stacy. It's nice to have you here. So we've chosen our first reading for the day, Stacy. But if you hang out for about a half an hour, you may get a chance at another reading. So let's put ourselves at the half an hour mark on my phone. Here we go. All right, for those watching, without further ado, I like to take lots of time to get everybody settled, but now this is our first reading of the day. This is for our friend student. We're going to put our timer at the half an hour mark. 30 minutes and 15 whole seconds. Don't spend them all in one place. Starting now. The clock has begun. Hickory dickory dock. All right, folks. So unfortunately, my phone is dicked right now, so I can't see my comments, and that's deeply annoying. So it is what it is. I'm going to read, and then I'm going to check out comments, and then I'm going to read, and then I'm going to check out comments. It's all things considered, it's extremely frustrating, and I kind of forgot about it. So, fix YouTube app on phone. It's been giving me trouble, so I've just got to like restart it or update the app or whatever that's all about. Okay. Student. What is happening with our friend student here? 1992, the year of the water monkey. She is a female, and she's Virgo rising with Venus and Jupiter both conjunct in the sign of Virgo. A very interesting signature here. You know, it's interesting enough to be said. It's a nice thing. Like, you are probably a beautiful, beautiful, like, tasty person, student. Venus in Virgo, Venus and Jupiter together in Virgo. Neither of those planets actually really like Virgo. Venus is debilitated in Virgo. Jupiter is starved by Mercury in the sign of Virgo. Thankfully, none of them are combust. That's a very nice thing. Interestingly, Venus is delighted. You know, this is something that's worth saying. In Vedic astrology, we have something called Lajatadya Vashtas. And that's when a planet is delighted by being in the sign of a friend, or it's conjunct a planet that delights it. Venus is doubly delighted here because it's delighted by Jupiter and its friend Mercury. So this is technically by Lajatadya Vashtas, this is a pretty poppin' Venus. It hardly has any yucky aspects. Jupiter, on the other hand, is a little bit tougher because it's getting starved by Venus, its enemy, and it's getting starved by Mercury. Now, it's a blessing and a curse to have, you know, you got two benefics in the rising sign, Venus and Jupiter. And those two benefics are going to bring some luck to the body, some feel-good energy to the body. It's going to bring some beauty, some luster, and some grip on your destiny. But because these planets are slightly starved in the way that they are, it's a mixed bag on the rising sign here, but mostly, ultimately, a pretty good thing overall, depending on how things might look. Now we have Rahu and Ketu in the Gemini-Virgo axis. We have Rahu. Ah, yes, Rahu and Sagittarius. I've got plenty of friends who were born 1992. Rahu and Sagittarius. Ketu in Gemini. We have the moon all the way over here in Aries in the 8th house in the sign of Uttara Bhadrapada. It might be worthwhile for us to do a bit of a big three. So many of you who watch my show, you might have been noticing that I do a big three. And it's something I do like to spend a lot of time talking about. Let's see if I can get all the things on here. That can stay. No, that's cool. Okay, so let's take a quick peek. Hi there, Katie Newkirk. Nice to see ya. So we do have our big three here that we like to move through whenever I do a reading. The sun is the Atmakaraka in this chart. It's in its own sign of Leo. We've got Chiron there. And the sun is in the 12th house, but it's in its own sign. So this is a very classic Virgo energy. You know, Virgos, one of the reasons that they often like to work in the background of things is because Leo, which is such a key pinpoint to knowing and understanding what we would call the ego of the person, but it's not ego in the bad way necessarily that people talk about it. This is an identity that I have. I need to have this identity, and I will get a sore ass if I can't have my identity, the way of my body and my kingdom aligned in the way I want it to be. For Virgo rising, Leo rules the 12th house, which is a very working in the background, serviceful personality. We have the Sun is the Atmakaraka in its own sign of Leo in the 12th house. Now, the Sun being in the 8th Navamsha of a fire sign puts it, as Robbie has probably eyeballed properly. Yes, we have the Sun as the Atmakaraka, and the Sun falls into Scorpio in the Navamsha chart. And that makes this person a Scorpio Swamsha. Sun Atmakaraka, Scorpio Swamsha. So, it's worth mentioning, and that's why I spend a lot of time talking about these 3 points here. The Atmakaraka is the Sun, we have Scorpio Swamsha, and we have Uttara Bhadrapada Moon. Now let's just check to make sure that the moon isn't too cuspy. It kind of might be. Let's just take a quick peek here. I'm going to change the birth time to see when the moon changes to Revati. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. You're about 3 degrees away from the edge of Revati, so it's a little cuspy. You're either Revati or Uttara Bhadrapada. My Kala software, created by Ernst Wilhelm, says that you are Uttara Bhadrapada moon, and this is going to play a key part of who you are and the energy that we can expect to come from you. In the Western chart, Pluto's in conjunction to your IC. Let me see if that revs with me. It looks like it does. I use Campanus cusps. Yeah, the 4th cusp is about, I have your 4th house cusp at 24 degrees of Scorpio. So that Pluto is right on your 4th house cusp. I have the same thing. Already, we can just see that by having Scorpio Swamsha and by having Pluto in the sign of Scorpio, as our friend Robbie has said, this is a very scorpionic chart. You're born in the same generation as me, which has Pluto in Scorpio. To have Scorpio Swamsha there definitely adds some energy. So, one thing that's worth saying, my brain always gets working in the way that it does. This chart's a bit of a mix of the male energies of fire and air. The Sun is a fire planet. The Atmakaraka is falling into Leo. We could see that this person is of a Leo energy, a very Sun, solar Leo person. So, student, with the Sun Atmakaraka falling into Leo, we can expect that you would be very interested in leadership and having leadership qualities, and being respected and regarded for the creative decisions that you make on a job or in anything that you do, especially as Virgo rising. The Sun Atmakaraka, since Leo rules the 12th house, is that you would find yourself being very meticulous and methodical about working out ugly, yucky details in some kind of, in anything that you do. We can see, Sun Atmakaraka person is like if a person is working construction with a bunch of people and somebody says, okay, we got to build these stairs. Student of 1992 with the Sun energy might come along and say, guys, I have the perfect thing, the perfect creative thing that we need to do that would be the best way to do these stairs. And you want, eventually, as time goes on, you want people to see, to lean on you. I believe in your vision, student. I believe in your vision for these stairs. So let's, we've only got so much money, we've only got so much time, but student has shown us in the past that she is a good leader when it comes to making creative decisions for our group. Let's follow her instinct. And so student designs the stairs and says this is how we should attack it. And everyone says, great job, we should lean on student more because she has a good eye for what we're doing here. Leaning on that leadership would be important for you. There's an interesting element of this with having K2 in the sign of Gemini. Really, K2 is probably kind of close to being wrapped up with the 11th house cusp, if anything. Let's check out that 11th house cusp. Yeah, 22 degrees of Gemini is the 11th house cusp. So we got K2 very much in an 11th cusp, but mostly 11th, 10th house kind of energy. Above the chart, this is a person who is probably throughout the early part of their life and in their childhood, up to the age of 36 is when K2 is unconsciously present. And then at age 36, we start diving into Rahu, which for you is Sagittarius, which is the bottom of the chart. So you're probably a person who puts a lot of emphasis on your career, on the life that you have, on the skills that you have. But because K2, remember, K2 is always this tricky, funny, fickle bitch. K2, when it is in the 10th house, see, we always think we've mastered K2. We always think, I do this all the time. This is me. This is my life, which means this is my world. So, like, I know all about it. I'm swamped in. We almost get sick of K2, wherever it is, wherever it's falling. So for K2 in the 10th house, in the sign of Gemini, we have a person who's probably very data-driven, meticulously, especially as a Virgo rising. There's a data-drivenness here. There's a need to use your creative managerial talents to work out what you can contribute to on a job. Because Mercury is combust, let's see what's going on with this Mercury. It is combust, so that's going to take some of its energy away from it. It's pretty happy, though, overall, actually. It's got some very strong yoga power. It's got some very strong Shadbala. This is a pretty happy chart. Got some good things going on in this chart. The moon is very strong and very happy in this chart, which is nice. And then Mercury is, so the moon is the strongest Shadbala planet, and then Mercury is the second strongest Shadbala planet. Saturn being third. Moon, Mercury, and Saturn seem to be the primary energies working through this person. You can see this nice, happy Saturn in the 6th house in its own sign of Aquarius. That's a nice thing. So because Mercury is nice and happy, that is a good thing. It's combust, and it's got a little bit of damage from the moon as well, actually. The moon is an enemy to Mercury, and the moon is pretty much directly trine that Mercury. It's nice that the moon and sun are trine together. That's a good thing. So this Mercury probably does what it needs to do in the 10th house. You've probably been a person who's capable of managing projects. Yeah, good question, student. So it's right. Okay, so this is one of those moments where we have to lean into my system, my software that I use, which is Ernst Wilhelm. It's really like that Mercury is pretty far away. I've seen some Mercuries. You have to understand that combustion is regarded in different ways. You can't really put a standard uniform measurement of combustion on Mercury. In some charts, it has to do with retrogrades. It has to do with momentum. You see, let's put it this way. Because all the other planets, yeah, it's a fair bit away. So this is debatable. It might only be, like, we could almost call it half combust. It's a worthwhile question, a worthwhile point. This is not the most combust Mercury I've ever seen. It's really not even that combust. But Mercury is funny compared to all the other planets because it's so close to the sun. Combustion is a little bit more fickle in how we define it and decide it. I'm gonna, if I was reading this chart, I would say it's only like half combust. I wouldn't fully strip it of its energy from the sun. And it's friends with the sun, so it's almost more neutral in this sort of way. I digress. It's a pretty good Mercury overall. It's close to the first house cusp. It's got yoga power. It's doing what it needs to do. It's got strength in Shadbala. And this is very good because this is your Ketu ruler. See, folks, this is why I've been talking about Mercury so much. If you want to know how Ketu is doing, you have to look at the Lord of Ketu and see how the Lord is doing. In this case, Mercury is pretty good. A little bit more worried about Jupiter, though, in this chart. So you were born 1992, student. You are going to be turning 34, because I'm turning 35 in 2026, so you're going to turn 34 in 2026. Yes. So you're 33, which means you are going to start to be coming into Rahu. This is what happens for everybody at this very important time in life. Up to age 36, we're crawling around and figuring it out. It's around age 36 that we begin to feel we're halfway through the race. Some things happen where, as I always like to say, you're Scorpio energy just like I am. We realize that we are going to die someday, which means we have to shit or get off the pot. I've been here doing things in my life. What am I getting down to? So at age 36, Saturn narrows us down. Everyone says, oh, Saturn, it's limiting me. Oh, I could be doing anything, but Saturn says I have to do this specific thing. The truth is, though, is that if you don't narrow yourself down to a single pointed directed focus on what your soul is and what you're supposed to be doing and who you're supposed to be, then you're not living your fullest human potential to its highest potential. So Saturn is a good thing, everybody. Can I say it again? For the people in the back, Saturn is the planet of greatness. Shani Mahatmya, the greatness of Saturn, is something that's very often talked about. And when Saturn and Rahu are very much connected. When Saturn matures, Rahu comes into play because Rahu is almost unconscious. It's been working through you this whole time, but we can't fully use Rahu until Saturn matures, because Rahu requires that we jump into a very fickle, unstable, unknown. We've been inside the Ketu castle up to age 36. Then around age 36, the castle starts to deteriorate because we've been in Ketu land. For you, you've been in 10th house land trying to work and be seen with skills and in the public eye for so long. At age 36, there's a part of you that's been missing, which is Rahu. And now you're coming to an age where Saturn's getting its shit together. You've got a happy Saturn in this chart. So it's going to help you deal with Rahu. Now, what goes on with Rahu? We have to know what is happening with Sagittarius. Now, at this point, there's an interesting split happening in our reading because there's some fickle things going on with Rahu, with Jupiter in this chart. It's technically happy because it's close to the first house cusp, but it's not too happy in the sign of Virgo, and it's being starved by Venus. Overall, it's got yoga power, which is actually really nice. Technically, we have a Raj Yoga, but it's a Raj Yoga that's going to bring some fickleness. You see, Venus rules the lucky 9th house of Taurus, and Jupiter rules the angle. We've got a ruler of an angle, 2 angles actually. Jupiter rules the 4th house and the 7th house for Virgo rising. So Jupiter rules 2 angles, which brings opportunity. Venus rules a trine, which brings luck. Problem is that these two don't like each other. Jupiter's delighting Venus. And that means Venus has really got some luck in this chart. Again, it's debilitated. It's a funny grab bag going on here. But I digress. What's most important is that Jupiter is getting pretty starved in its position here. Now, since Jupiter rules two angles that are especially related to love, romance, and relationships, and because Rahu is in the 4th house of Sagittarius, this makes this Jupiter very important in this chart. Because Jupiter is being starved in this way, there's 3 things we need to speak to in this chart. Okay? So number 1, what's worth saying is that your Sun at Makaraka, K2 in the 10th house, career, public life, you know, the nodes are on a fire-air axis. You are very much about what you do, the masculine energy of doing. But you have another key part of your experience that has to start looking into the emotional depths of your life. And this is what's going to start to happen in age 36, is you've got to start to deal with, how do I feel? And what is my personal private life? What is my heart? Because you might not realize with this K2 Rahu axis that you think, because you've got K2 in the 10th house, you think that you've mastered your career. But what will happen is that, again, especially when you're younger, you'll focus so much on your career that you might think, as long as I just keep putting chips into my company, putting chips into my thing that I'm building, as long as I'm doing the thing that I'm good at, that I've always been good at, that life is going to float me. But what you're going to start to find is that you need to start looking at your weakest link, which is your interpersonal private life. Or else your career, you're going to probably find your career is damaged. Your career will find difficulty. Because we can all imagine a boss who's doing very well in his public, but he fights with his wife, he's not happy with his kids, his personal and private life is all messed up. He's not going to be able to focus on his job as much. And his career is going to shake because the foundation of the chart is not fully worked out. So it's inevitable at age 36 that you'd be bringing in this emotional soul, heart, happiness foundations. But because of some things, we have to, for your soul's sake, there's great bliss, happiness, and peace to be found in your 4th house. Meditating. Being happy when no one is around. You know, it's like a person with K2 in the 10th house and Rahu in the 4th house, at your age especially, you might find that you're only happy when you're busy, when you're building on your career, when you're building on your reputation. But then when you sit with your friends at a party, you know, they might come and say, oh, what do you do for a living? And it's like, oh, let me tell you all about it. I've got this great life happening. Let me keep talking about that. And then once that conversation's over, it's like, okay, we all know what we're doing for a living here. So how are you? You know, how's your love life? Are you, how's your friends? Like, what do you do for fun? What makes you happy? Do you have any artistic pursuits? You know, what do you do once you've put away the busy public eye? Now, there are 3 things in this chart that signify that this in personal life. And, you know, let me know, student, let me know if this resonates with you. The personal life for you is something that is going to be a bit trickier to get into. The one good thing is, like we said, there's a blessing here, a real blessing in this chart, is you see Rahu's in the 4th house, which means all things related to the moon are going to be significant to the narrative of this Rahu in the 4th house. This is this is called confluence. It's when you're looking at several points which are adding up to the same thing. So in order to have a very happy 4th house, you've got to have a good moon. Good news is, Shadbala the moon is your best Shadbala planet. It's not even that bad on yoga power either. It's kind of give or take. Saturn is really the great yoga power here. The fact that the Saturn is opposite Mercury, there's some good things happening with Saturn here. Yeah. Especially because Mercury, there's a really strong another good Raj yoga happening between Mercury and Saturn, actually. And it's really strong. Yeah, cool. This is worth mentioning here. I know it's a bit of a wander, but Mercury is a friend to Saturn. So Saturn is delighted by Mercury, even though it's taking a bit of damage from the sun and a little damage from Mars. Mars has got Saturn at its sort of at its 8th house energy, its 8th house angle. It's technically a trine. Saturn is going to do some good things for you. Mercury is delighting Saturn. So you'll find by doing the things that Mercury does, it solidifies Saturn, gives you more of a grip, helps you deal with money, helps you deal with debt. At age 36, you might find yourself getting good at dealing with debt, dealing with money, managing monetary portfolios. In fact, Venus rules the 2nd house, and it's also delighted by Mercury. So you might be good at managing money. And I encourage you to be conscientious about what you do with money, how you use it, how you invest it, because there's a power there for you. There's a good luck charm for you, because Mercury and Saturn. Mercury rules angles, which brings opportunity. Saturn rules the 5th house, which brings luck. But, for all intents and purposes, while I still have time here, it's worth me saying, I got to get my chat back up here. It's worth me saying for our friend student here, one of the big narratives that are going to happen in this chart is what is happening with the 4th house and with the moon. And this is a big and. This is one we haven't quite mentioned just yet. So these are the 3 points that this person is really going to be dealing with. Oh, and thank you, student. I'm glad to see you having some comments here. You had a breaking point with 28. It's very, very sad and lonely to recognize you have no one in your life. You face deep, deep loneliness through family, estrangement, and poverty. Now your life is since around 6 months from day to day, more and more fruitful. I'm very glad to hear that. Student, my friend, you've got something very important happening for you. Let's see. So it's 2026, probably right around the start. You're 33. So around 30 years old, actually, just after your Saturn return, really. Saturn in the sky. Now I got 4 things to talk about, and I've only got so much time to do it. I'm going to drum it all up right here. You see, you're going through Sadhisati right now. Saturn is entering the sign of Aries. So probably since about 2023 when Saturn entered Pisces. What happens is that Saturn, when it moves through the point in the chart where the moon is, it brings what's called Sadhisati. 7.5 years of pain, hell, and emotional loneliness and misery and feeling like a piece of shit. Again, you've got a pretty happy moon. So I'm not afraid for it. You've got a good Saturn. You actually need to have a good Saturn in order for Sadhisati to not get rocked too hard. So you might not be too bad with the Sadhisati thing. But emotionally, this is a very important time for you. You're going through this Saturn transiting. You see, Saturn transits the sign behind your moon. Then it transits the sign that your moon is in, which is Aries. And then it transits the sign after your moon, which is Taurus. So you're not going to be technically out of the ring of Sadhisati until 2029, 2030. It's in 2030 when Saturn enters Gemini. And this moon is a very important point for you because you have Rahu in Sagittarius. And this relates to what you're saying here, student, is that you've had this experience of loneliness and to have people in your life. You have the ability, very much so, to bring people into your life, to open your heart and to have the positive personal life experiences. But you got to count yourself. You got to count yourself in. And one of the very important things to do is to drink the milk. And this is one of the key tricky things happening in this chart. The moon is the great milk mother of, you see, the milk is right in front of us all. The milk of life is the moon. Our souls are naturally, inherently beautiful things for everybody. We attract goodness because everybody's beautiful to somebody, which means the milk of life of love, of connection, is actually right in front of all of us. But if you don't want to drink that milk, then you might, it doesn't matter that it's there. You have to count yourself in. In the runt squad, you've got a dog with 8 nipples and you got 9 dogs. There's always going to be the 9th dog that's the runt that doesn't get the nipple. And if you have found that you're this person who has never, I think I'll be loved more if I don't ask for things. People will love me if I'm easy to please. I don't count myself in. I want to be loved. This is very much a problem with the moon. If a person has a problem with the moon, we're about to ring on our thing here, so I'm gonna have to start wrapping this up. Ding 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 ding. That's okay, because there's lots to talk about in this chart, but I want to bring it all together here. Rahu in the 4th house. Jupiter's a little tough, which Jupiter rules the 4th house. So that's an indication of you not drinking the milk, counting yourself. I'm allowed to drink the milk. People will actually love you if they need you. The moon is all about our needs, isn't it? And yet the moon is one of the planets that bonds us, that allows us to adapt through love to other people and connect with people. The 4th house is all about truly bonding with people at the bottom of our lives. So there are indications through Jupiter that you might not drink the milk. 2 other things. We have the moon is in the 8th house, which is can be shaky, but more to the point, it's Kemadrama, which means there's nothing behind the moon in the sign of Pisces, and there's nothing ahead of the moon in the sign of Taurus. Whenever we have the moon alone by itself in a chart like this can bring this loneliness. We don't have anything in our subconscious that we can connect with people through. We don't have anything in our lives that we enjoy that we can connect with people through. It's something you've never seen or built a relevance of, possibly. This is just what I see happening here. So the moon is Kemadrama, which can make for a little bit of awkwardness, a feeling like being isolated is natural. Now, the real big one here that's worth mentioning is the Swamsha. Remember, we said your sun at Makaraka, and the sun falls in the sign of Scorpio in your Navamsha chart. That means you're Scorpio Navamsha. And if you read about Scorpio Swamsha, this should be said. It's okay. Don't worry about the time. This happens all the time on my channel. I want to give people a real reading. Whenever we have a Swamsha or a rising sign, but when the Swamsha is a sign where certain planets are debilitated, we radiate that energy. You are radiating Scorpio energy, which means you are radiating the energy of the sign where the moon is debilitated. The moon is debilitated in Scorpio. And the big word that's said about Scorpio Swamsha is poisoned mother's breast milk. What this might mean is that you might find that when you need people, because remember, see, in relationships, if I'm with a woman and she's all fine and dandy, she's nope, I don't need any help. I don't need any help with anything. And I'm like, okay, that's Scorpio, appreciate it. It means I've got to deal with things less. But what happens is that the Scorpio woman doesn't give me any ins to feel needed. Me as a man, people in general, they like to feel needed. It's part of how we bond in love. So if there's no chance for me to help you, for me to talk to you, for me to work out your emotions together with you, the moon is an emotional planet, and we like to share our emotions. So when we share our emotions, there's a power there. There's a bonding power that happens there. And if you can't share your emotions with people, they don't get a chance to fully love and bond with you. Part of you might feel that's how you are loved. I don't need much, etc. But you might have had experiences when you were young that when you finally decided, you know what, I am going to love somebody. I'm going to let somebody love me, and I'm going to experience it. You might have felt like you were betrayed. You might have felt like, you might have even been abandoned by parents. Your parents didn't give you a feeling that asking for what you desire is worth it, is going to give you good things. So now you can be afraid of drinking the milk. Scorpio says, you know what? I'm better off not needing the milk. I'm just going to go and do lots of work and bring home some bacon, and I'm going to help you. You know, a Scorpio Swamsha woman would put in a lot of effort to helping their partner, helping around the house, doing everything, and she becomes the spider that has the spider web. And everyone in the house feels like, I want to keep student happy, because student has this very meticulously operated emotional pattern that we all have to kind of tap dance around so we don't frustrate her. This can be very Scorpio Swamsha energy. You're more used to being the needed one. So not just to make people feel needed, but yeah, that's interesting the way you said that, student, because what I'm trying to suggest to you is that it's good for you to be the needed one. But you don't want to feel so needy that you lose your own center of power, focus, and your value in yourself. So all this stuff of need, me being needed, me needing other people, and how do we allow that to be a healthy, co-regulated emotional structure? Because remember what I always like to say, everyone thinks a relationship is when you two bring a half circle and a half circle together, it becomes a whole. That's not how a healthy relationship operates. How it operates is that I'm happy with myself, you're happy with yourself, we come together and we make the infinity symbol. And the energy circulates. Now the energy circulating is the love and the bonding. So this emotional relationship bonding energy is something that you might not have thought too much about because you've got K2 in the 10th house. So you just think, I'm just going to keep working and doing what I've always done. In the next 2 or 3 years, Rahu is going to come into focus, Saturn's going to mature, and it's going to start forcing you to reckon with how your emotions are obstructing your career, obstructing your life. The fact that you haven't just gotten down to it and said, okay, I need to open my heart and connect with people, will be frustrating your overall energy. And you have a good moon. You're in a perfect position where it might be painful for you because you haven't been guided to do this, but as an astrologer, I encourage you, student, beyond all astrology is a very Gemini thing. I've got all this data. Go beyond the data. Do some shadow work. I often say to people, it's good, everyone should have like a therapist that they can talk to about what happened in their childhood to stop you from feeling like being in a bonding relationship with another human being is natural and good for you. This should be the main theme for you, especially while Saturn is transiting over your moon. It's a very important window is open for you, a very important time where all these themes are coming together at once. It's lucky, it's painful, but it is you, the cosmos is kicking you in the ass to get your shit together with regards to your heart. And you might almost feel like your brain might say, okay, these emotions are not useful to me. They're not going to make me more money. They're not going to make me more networking. But you have to trust that the emotional side of your brain is just as important as the logical. The logical part of your brain won't give it a chance. But if you, because you've seen an astrologer, you heard the whisper from my mouth to the cosmos as an astrologer, that your emotions are actually going to bring your whole life together. So you need to focus on them. You need to journal them. Spend some time meditating by yourself and thinking, what do I need to be happy in my home, personal, private life outside of work? Everything else will be better. Trust me on it. I mean, if you're, based, I hope that this, I don't even like to say that. You see, this is the problem when I do these. Usually I'm looking at the person and saying, do you agree? And they'll be like either yes or no or whatever. I hope this makes sense to you, student. Let me know if this feels correct for you. I hope that it does. And let's call this one for now, student, because we have lots of people piling in now. We should start getting into our second reading. thank you very much, student. And thank you everybody who's watching here. This is our first live reading of the day. Beautiful point, Robbie. And this is exactly what I see, is that she can easily overcome these challenges. Plus, student, you're probably a beauty because of the Venus and Jupiter in the first house of Virgo. There's probably a beautiful energy that emanates from you, and that's something worth me saying to you. Awesome. Thank you, student. And thank you, everybody. Now, my doll, Monica, is making sure, like a good friend, that I'm taking care of myself while I do these things. I love to do this work, but Monica has always got my back here, and she has encouraged me to. Okay, so if anybody's interested in sending me a tip, you can put it through to me through my little PayPal link that I've got in the chat box here. Again, tips are never expected, but always appreciated. And as well, if anybody's ever interested, you can also email me at astrology@dustincormier.com to get into to do a real reading with me. This is only a half an hour reading. I usually do a 2 to 3 hour reading where I really go deep. You can email me here, or you can find more information about my readings on my website by going to Dustin Cormier. And as well, anybody who's interested in all the work I'm doing, I'm writing some books soon. Catch me, join my email list by going to dustincormier.com/subscribe. Now, Donnie Kim, you are about to be a part of the next reading here. We're going to choose our next contestant. Now, today, everybody, I want to do this. It's worth it for me to do it because I have many people here who are supporting my channel. So let me do it now while I have the chance. First, let me say this. Student, thank you for being a part of this reading today. Thank you for volunteering your chart and your time. We appreciate you very much, and I'm happy to have you here. I'm happy to have done this reading for you today. And thank you for being a part of my channel. Now, our next reading, ladies and gentlemen, I want to do it this way. It's the right way to do it. I have many beautiful people who follow me on my channel, and they are channel members. You see, I have these channel memberships. These channel memberships are $3 each. You pay $3 a month, and then when we do these live readings, you get a chance to be a part of the second reading of the day. So for all those who are interested, our next reading is going to be for members of the channel. Now, we have a few members here today. My friend Monica is here. My friend Robbie is here. And I think we had one more here. So I'm looking to encourage people to join memberships. Hello there, Capricorn. I think I've seen you. I think that you've given me a little, you've been hanging out with me for a bit here, Capricorn. Capricorn. It's very nice to have you. So our next reading is for channel members. Right, folks? So remember, again, you can go to my website, youtube.com/howtorock-astrology, and you can join my email membership. It's $3 a month. This is not the same as my email list. It's a $3 monthly membership, and when you join, you are going to get a chance to have a reading. Our friend Donnie Kim has just joined in, and so Donnie Kim is on our list. Now, I'm going to put Monica on here because Monica mentioned that she would be interested in getting a reading for one of her kiddos. I'm happy, this is working out. Shivam Kava, this current reading is for members only. And the third reading is just going to be by donation. That's how I think I'm going to start doing these things, folks. The first reading is free, whoever's around. The second reading is for channel members. That's currently what we're doing. Hello there, Itzel. I think Itzel might already be a member as well. Yes, she is. So, Itzel, you are on the list. for our reading today. Again, ladies and gentlemen, this is members. For those who are interested in joining and having a reading today, you have to be a member. It's $3 a month. By paying me that $3 a month, you're helping me as an astrologer continue doing what I'm doing. You're supporting my work. And you will get a chance to get a reading once in a while like this. You will be on the list for such a reading. Awesome. So let's give some people a little bit of time. I got to go to the bathroom anyway. Again, everybody, this next reading is for channel members. So we have 3 members today. Robbie is always here hanging out. Robbie, you have a chance, if you like, to get a reading too. I know that you often are here to support, so I don't have to include your name in the list, but you can certainly feel free to. If you did, Robbie, and if you get chosen, we can talk about transits. We can talk about things that I wouldn't have talked about already in your reading. So please feel free. Monica, no dark chocolate today. You know what I'm crazy about, though? I've got this, it's like milk chocolate, but it's like with toffee and sea salt. I'm a salty sea dog. So whenever I can get salt into my life, I go kind of super pretty nuts for it. Now, at the moment, folks, we have, how do I say this name correctly? Donnie Kim? Donnie Kim, yes. So we have Donnie Kim, who's on the list of our channel members for our reading today. We have Monica, and we have our friend Itzel as well. So let's do a bathroom break. Let's allow a few more people to get a chance to join in our channel membership if you should feel like it. Remember, for those who are interested, in order to join as a member and get a chance to have these readings, you go to my youtube.com/@howtorock_astrology, and you find the join membership panel. And it's there that you can join for $3 a month and get a chance to get a reading on times like this. For now, folks, let's do a quick bathroom break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to pick from our current channel members. And remember, the third reading today is going to be by donation with a $30 minimum, which means anybody is going to get a chance. If they donate $30 to me, they will get a chance for a reading as well. Okay, folks, I'll see you guys in just a moment. Let's do a little bathroom break, and then we're going to do our second reading of the day. See you soon. Surprise. I've moved my stuff around in my room, so getting into my spot is different than it usually is. All right. So, folks, I'm feeling very good right now. I can see my hair starting to do the part. My hair is just stupid long right now. I'm going to have to get it cut sometime in the spring. I never get it cut. I just get it a little trim. It turns into a little Bob Dylan coif, and then it gets long, and then it gets too long like it is right now. It's not that it's too long. It's this. I gotta work out the bangs or whatever. I gotta make that work, you know. But I digress. So, I'm feeling good about today. You know, I don't want to be one of these people where it's like, There's auspicious energies happening in the sky, which means today's an excellent day for a reading. It's an excellent day for you to join my membership because of the auspicious energy. But it is true, though. I think we really did great on that reading for student. I hope that is the case. But I feel like it's the case. I feel like I'm on fire right now. We have the energy of Guru, of Jupiter, working through the moon with us. Because, of course, today, if you haven't been hearing me talking about it, the moon is with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. It might have even moved by this point. Yeah, it's getting up there. But it's still with Jupiter in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter's exalted. Anytime the moon is in water signs right now, it's a very auspicious moment in the monthly energy. So, now's a good time for a reading. But I digress. So everybody, we have 3 channel members here at the moment who are interested in getting a live reading. And for those who are watching now, we're about to begin our second reading of the day. And you have a chance to be a part of this reading. If you should be interested in a reading, what you want to do is, again, join my membership by going to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@howtorock_astrology. You join my membership. By joining, it's $3 a month. And when you join, you support me and my work. And you also get a chance in moments like this to be in the members reading list. So we have 3 people today who are members who are having a chance to get a reading. We have Donnie Kim, we have Monica for her kiddo, and we have my friend Itzel. So I think we've given it about enough time. Throw in now or forever hold your peace. But it is now time for us to begin our second reading of the day. We have 3 contestants who might get the lucky chance for this reading. Oh, how sweet. My friend Student has given me a very generous donation for the reading that we did. And I thank you very, very deeply, Student, for being a part of our reading. Monica knows me very well. And we're going to dig deep. Monica's like me. Monica has lots of Saturn, Pluto energy. She's got a good Saturn. She can handle me. And I know Monica is exactly perfect for what we're doing here. But let's see who gets chosen now, folks. We have 3 contestants, and I'm going to put my clock at the half-an-hour mark in just a moment. Donnie Kim, Monica, Itzel, you are our 3 contestants for our channel membership reading. I'm going to pick a number. I liked 23, especially for a small amount of people like this. I'm going to pick the number 23. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm just going to go up, down, up, down, up, down. Beginning with the middle, we are now choosing our next contestant here. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Okay, I'm glad it worked out this way. I got to do a reading for Monica for one of your kiddos. I would just love to do that. But the person we have chosen today, I'm happy when it works out this way. We have a new member. Our friend Donnie Kim is our new member today who's joined our membership. Donnie Kim, congratulations. You have been chosen for our half-an-hour free astrology reading today. Donnie Kim, are you still here? Yes. Welcome. Congratulations. You have been chosen. Now, as I always like to say, Donnie Kim, I'm not sure if you know the rundown that I usually give. Whoa, big stretch. Oh boy, that felt good. Yes. So Donnie Kim, you have been chosen. And so I'd like to keep in mind, Donnie Kim, when I do these readings, I've got a lot of Scorpio in my chart. and I like to go deep. So our intention in this public forum is not to bring your skeleton out of the closet for everyone to see. But like you saw with student, you know, the intention here is to do astrology, which is to practice self-realization, to provide a psychedelic cosmic mirror for what fate you have brought, possibly from past lives coming into this life. And our intention is to heal through your own self-reflection. So that being said, as we're going along, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, because this is a public forum, you know, if I'm talking about something that you don't want to talk about, feel free to say so in the chat. You know, we're here for you. And again, you know, don't let it intimidate you too much, because we don't, you know, I'm not here to bring out ugly stuff that we shouldn't be talking about. But I'm watching for your voice. And I am watching for your comments. Unfortunately, I've got to fix my phone, the YouTube app on my phone. I can't see them live. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say blah, blah, blah. This is this person's chart. And then I'm going to peek back here and look at the comments. I'm just going to have to do it once in a while that way. All right. Very good, Donnie Kim. You sound like you got the right attitude here. So, Donnie Kim, thank you for joining in our membership today. Let's get started. Now, Donnie Kim, I think that you probably put your birth time in, but why don't you do me a favor? Let me know your birth time, birth date, and birthplace. If the birth time, if you have it. If you don't, we can still make it work. But we usually like to have the birth time, the birth date, and the birthplace. Try to put the dates in the format of month, day, year, so we don't get confused. And let me know if you identify with any particular pronouns or gender. I'm an LGBTQ plus 2 spirit ally and advocate, and I'm in for whatever anybody wants to identify as. But it is nice because the astrology, even if you're a non-binary, neuter person, the energies of astrology still work through gender dynamics. So we have someone who is 1990. Ah, cool. So you're probably about 36 now, and you're probably going through that Saturn return. Donnie. Okay, Donnie, I got you. And she's in LA. We got an LA gal. So I wish they all could be California girls. Okay, I got your birth time here. All right, Donnie. You're locked in. I'm going to start inputting your birth time now. Donnie. Now, let me see here. I got to figure this out. 06/28, that would be June, July, August. Yeah, June 28th. I think that makes you a Cancer. Am I right on that? Yes, we have a solstice baby, which means Jupiter is... You probably got the sun conjunct Jupiter. Let's check this out. Let's see what you got here. So 6/28/1990, and 12:13 p.m. Right? This is a fucking banging chart. 12. What was that? 12. Cool. 12:13 p.m., which means the sun is going to be happy in the 10th house of the chart or around it. Born in the USA, and you are born in... You don't know what the 3 things on the screen are. Perfect. We're going to go through it, Donnie. New York, New York. Is that right? Yes. The city's so nice, they named it twice. New York. New York, New York. Okay. Little bit of an almost cuspy chart, but you got a pretty exact birth time. Let me just check out. Let me just do a little digging here for a moment. Change birth time. 1. Whoa, that's too much. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so if you're born 15 minutes later, then you would be a Libra rising. I have you as Virgo rising. Another Virgo. I get lots of Virgos on my chart. So Donnie, let me know if you are Virgo rising, if I'm correct on that. Yes, Robbie, we have one crazy stellium going on in the sign of Cancer here. Before I press my half an hour button, Donnie, let me know, are you used to working with a Virgo rising chart? Sometimes my calculation software can be a little funky. I show up a chart and then someone says, no, it's this. And so that's why I always like to check. Are you familiar with your chart as a Virgo rising, Donnie? Good. Okay. Equal house system, Virgo rising. Rock and roll. You are in the right place. Okay, let me check one more thing here. How's our moon doing on the cusp? We do have a combust Mercury, quite combust. The moon is in Uttara Falguni, and it's right in the spot where it should be. The moon is Kemadrama, kind of, sort of double Kemadrama in a way. Kind of not bad, but it's definitely Kemadrama. I'm just peeking around at a very happy sun here. The sun is popping, delighted by moon and Jupiter. The sun is just popping in this chart. Mercury is having a little bit of trouble, though. And we have someone with K2 in Leo, which is okay. So Virgo rising is one thing that's going to make that Mercury a little bit tricky. Mercury is the only planet that's flagging a little bit in Shotbala. Not too bad. Sun real happy. Jupiter is the second highest Shotbala. So those are your 2 or 3 bangers. The moon's really above 500 as well. Even Saturn is good. This is a good looking chart. We have the moon gaining some pretty good brightness in the first house. There's probably some beauty on the rising sign here as well. Yes, Uttara Falguni moon and rising. Robbie's got the eye. Yeah, the moon is pretty much right on the ascendant cusp in Uttara Falguni. That would be even worth talking about in this reading. There's an energy of tantra, of mating, of relationships, of marriage, of bringing together in a happy relationship, but also commingling together of parties in general. So let's start rolling through here, folks. The moon is depressing in the 12th house. Nah, I mean, you're using equal houses, but I'm a whole sign house astrologer, which is different, Donnie. For me, because the moon is in the sign that the rising sign is in. You see, we split up these slices of pizza in Vedic astrology so that the sign makes the house. So to me, not only that, but your moon is like within like what? Within like 5 degrees, 6 degrees of the rising sign. This is a first house moon. There might be a little bit of 12th house energy, but this is mostly a first house moon. Technically, we would say that it was above the horizon when you were born, which is technically it's visible, which means it's technically some 12th house energy there. But I would mostly say that this is a moon that's on the rising sign that's in the first house more than anything. It's delighted by Virgo by being in the sign of, but delighted by Mercury by being in the sign of Virgo. Okay. All right, Donnie. Without further ado, let's get, and I just got another donation by Miss Elizabeth Jones. I appreciate you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you for supporting me and doing what I'm doing. I know who that is. Some people don't prefer if I mention the name on YouTube. Thank you, Elizabeth. I see you and I appreciate you very much. Now, we've got 30 minutes on the clock here, folks. This is our second reading of the day, our channel membership reading for our new member, Donnie. Very happy to have you. Let's press le bouton and begin our reading for the day, for the moment. Donnie. All right, so Donnie is born 1990, which means you're probably 35, turning 36, which is a very important age, especially because you've got Rahu in Aquarius. You got 4 significant placements in Saturn's signs, which means when Saturn matures at age 36, you might find that your whole life begins to come together at this very important time. It's a happy Saturn. It's in the 5th house, which is a nice sign. And it's in its own sign of Capricorn. It's not getting bugged by anything too strongly. It is opposite the sun. The sun is definitely given this Saturn quite the wallop. And the moon is trine to Saturn. Saturn has the moon for an enemy and the sun. So it's getting kind of rocked by them. But it's got some energy from Venus and from Mercury. It's happy in the 5th house. It's in its own sign. And it's the Atmakaraka. Hot damn. Very interesting. So let's talk a little bit. We've talked a little bit about everything. Saturn is it's doing well in this chart. It's got yoga strength, which is very nice. Just like the last person, we have Mercury opposite Saturn, and that Mercury is for Virgo rising. We get a similar thing. We've got Mercury is really supporting Saturn because Mercury is a friend to Saturn. So Mercury being opposite Saturn is bringing Mercury as remember, for Virgo rising, Virgo rules the 10th cusp and the 1st house cusp. So there is the energy of the angle is supporting Saturn, and Saturn rules a trine. So there's a bit of a Raj yoga here. Raj is called royal yoga. It's when you bring the influence of an angle planet, like Mercury, because it rules the angles, and Saturn ruling the 5th house, which is a trine, we get opportunity and luck mixed together. Opportunity of the angle mixed with the luck of the trine. Hopefully you guys can see me here good. So this is more stuff that's going to come along together as age 36 comes along. Not to mention the fact, it's this is probably worth saying here too, Donnie. In Vedic astrology, we have something called the Mahadasha system. You've been in Rahu Mahadasha since you're about 20 years old in 2011. It's going to end in 2029. Rahu is an 18-year-long period. It's a very long period. It's usually hard in the beginning, but then becomes very satisfying. You're still going to be in Rahu Mahadasha while you're going through age 36, while your Saturn is maturing, which means this Rahu in the 6th house, there's probably a bit of time there where you might have had to deal with debt, especially in your young 20s. You might have been dealing with a bit of debt. You might have been dealing with money, the conscientiousness of what you're doing with your money, as well as stabilizing your time, your diet, your habits, dealing with enemies even. This is an auspicious placement. Gosh, there's so much to talk about when I read a chart. And Cancer Navamsha, that's correct. You have huge debt. Okay, so this debt is important for you to work through, Donnie. Your debt, let's see, how's your Venus doing? As the 2nd lord, Venus is in the 10th house. Venus is a little bit dinged in this chart compared to the others as the 2nd lord. So having a conscientiousness of how to deal with money is going to be important for you, Donnie. Managing your money. There's going to be very likely a bonus when you when you turn to age 36. I should be careful here. I don't like to give people hope for something that we don't really know what's going to happen. But there are positive significations of you maturing when it comes to the 6th house and the 5th house. 5th house and 6th house are ruled by Saturn. At age 36, Saturn matures. And that's when Rahu can get a proper grip. And then, especially because you're in Rahu Mahadasha, you might find that your debt, the feeling through the 6th house that there's a million things I have to take care of and I don't have time for any of them. There's a need for the Saturn energy here, for the 6th house energy. There's a need for maturation. And this maturation comes from, again, it's a shit or get off the pot. Are you... It's a very crude statement, but it's the one that I would use, I guess. I don't know, I got Sagittarius moon. If you're sitting on the toilet for hours, it's like, do the thing. What are we doing here? You know? It's the same thing in life. Around age 36, life comes along and says, hey, Donnie, my friend, just letting you know, you are going to die someday. We are all going to die someday. This life is temporary. And it's the fact that we're going to die someday that makes this life worth living, makes it worth us focusing, being concentrated and single-pointed on a life path that means something to us, that's meaningful to us. It's what happens around age 36. This is Saturn. And everyone complains that, oh, Saturn, I want to be a child forever and wander around and be a kid and just, you know, goof around and stuff. But Saturn comes along and says, you will be happier being a 36-year-old, being an adult, pulling your shit together, and being who you're supposed to be. So Capricorn, there is the Saturn return. Saturn return happens when Saturn goes over your natal Saturn, and that is an important moment, around 28 years old for all of us. But the maturation of Saturn is a different thing. This is something that happens in Vedic astrology, and it happens around age 36. It's tough, but it is what we have to do to become fully initiated in our adult human life and experience. And it's going to need... there's a need to drop what's not working. Oh my gosh, student. Let you be needed. Wow. Crazy, student. So you had someone who needed help in the basement for you, had to provide first aid and call an ambulance. It's a good thing that they came to you, who was there to be able to provide that for them. God bless. You know, sometimes it's funny how even when Jupiter is exalted, those girls needed you in that moment, and you were there, and you did what you had to do. And I'm glad that you were there for them. It's probably positive karma for you, student, to be moving through that energy. But it sounds like everything's okay. Everything is okay. Person is stable. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for letting us know, student. Now, I'm glad to hear everything's okay. Now I'm glad that we can let's focus on Donnie here. Because Donnie is at the age that Donnie's at, there is more of this coming together, bringing everything together, and pulling through for what you need to do to become the adult that you want to be, Donnie. That is very much the key theme here. Now, this happens to all of us at age 36, but it's especially a kick in the ass and a relief if you have lots of planets falling into the signs ruled by Saturn. In this case, we have Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. And we have Rahu in the sign of Aquarius, which is also ruled by Saturn, which means this age 38 is bringing all of these planets out of the woodwork now that Saturn is maturing. You need to be stable in order to take on the highest goals that you have in your life, which means you need to stabilize yourself. And ideally, you're going to stabilize yourself by looking for, how do we stabilize ourselves? We do it by looking forward on a long distance commitment, not distance, but a long journey. Who am I? What am I building myself to be in my life? What am I? What do I want to be when I grow up? What is my career? Do I want to be a wife? Do I want to have a real relationship with a partner? Do I want to have kids? Do I want to live together with somebody? Where do I want to live? What do I want my life to look like? We need to draw it out, define your goals, define your objectives, and then take your lasso and lasso your way and pull yourself into the life that you're seeking to live. You need to stabilize yourself in order to do it, but you also need to do it in order to stabilize yourself. This is the thing. The pressure is on you to now make decisions that are going to bring you into the person that you're supposed to be. Let your intuition find it for you. Yeah, this is definitely what's going to be coming through for you, Donnie, for sure. So, now there's something, this is the big thing, especially because you're Saturn Amakarika. So let's start talking a little bit about the big three. And these are the things that you mentioned here and you don't know what they're about. First thing I want to say, you mentioned that I was throwing some big words at you. I'm sure one of them was related to this little corner down here. These are called the Mahadashas. The Mahadasha is, Maha means great, and Dasha means like period. Everyone is going through this internal clock. And this internal clock has an hour hand and a minute hand. You're at the hour of Rahu and you're at the minute of the sun. But most importantly is that you're in Rahu o'clock. You've been in Rahu o'clock since you were 20 years old in 2011. Now it's 2026 and you are almost through the Rahu period. At age 38, you're going to enter the Jupiter period. And so at age 38, when's that going to be? Particularly in February of 2029, around that time, you are going to come out of the Rahu period and you're going to come into the Jupiter Mahadasha. Now, because Jupiter is pretty happy chappy in your chart, all things considered, it's your second highest Shadbala planet. It is conjunct the sun, but not combust, which is a huge blessing. That means that sun is delighting Jupiter, and Jupiter is delighting the sun. Jupiter is exalted in the sign of Cancer. So Donnie, honey, I have a feeling that this is just me as an astrologer. Sometimes I can say this, and I'm happy to say it. I think you're going to find a big relief in life. Some winds of fortune are going to start to come to you in February of 2029. Now, karma and fate are still active for you at this moment, which means you have to still live your life, be your best self. You can't just wait until, oh, Dustin said February 2029, I'm going to be a lot better, so finally I'm here, give me the riches. This is an important point in your life where you're not going to fully enjoy those riches if you don't go through this important Saturn time. You have to pull your shit together. You have to pull yourself from your own bootstraps. Get your life aligned right now. I'll put it to you this way. You need to build yourself a basket, because you're going to be walking around and you're going to find a big, nice golden apple tree of Jupiter, of Guru. You're going to have luck based on probably your culture, on what your father has given you, and how your family has built you up to be an intelligent person in the culture that you live in. So really, it's more about reflecting on what your needs are. Listening to your nervous system especially. When Saturn matures, it says, okay, I've been pissing energy away doing things that don't work for me. So when Saturn matures, we roll our shoulders back, we meditate, and we listen to our body. Your body is the center. Your body is not separate from spirit. Spirit speaks through our body. So now is an important time to listen to your body. And when it says, I need more rest, I need to eat a better diet, especially with Rahu, in the 6th house. I need to pay more attention to my diet. I need to manage and focus on managing my time better. One tricky thing going on in this chart is that Rahu is in the 6th house, which means themes related to the 6th house, including Mercury and Virgo, are kind of playing into that. Now, because Mercury is combusted by the sun, it's also in the sign of Cancer, where it's not too happy. Mercury is one planet here that is causing a little bit of trouble in this chart. And it would be, especially because you're a Virgo rising, Mercury rules Virgo rising. We might find that there's a lack of self-esteem, a lack of belief in yourself and your identity and who you are and what you can do in this life. And Mercury being combust and in the sign of Cancer, where it's kind of starved by the moon. Oh, shit. And we've got a Parivartana yoga too. All right, we got to speak to that for sure. Mercury is in the moon sign and the moon is in Mercury's sign. That's important because you're a Cancer swamsha. Whoa. Okay. Mercury is a load-bearing wall in this chart, and it's one of the fickle things. First thing I want to say is that because Rahu is in the 6th house, it relates with Virgo as the 6th sign, which means you need to manage your time, manage your resources, manage your money, manage the things that you manage. If you've got people working underneath you, if you've got employees, if you're an entrepreneur building some kind of businesses, dealing with the mercurial side of things, researching in order to make your life work the way it needs to work, then it's important for you to focus on Mercury. Listen and speak. Mercury is all about the throat chakra. You might have been, when you were younger, because Mercury is the way it is in your chart, you might have found that, you see, Mercury from age 0 to 1 is the moon, which is a very important time for you too, as I'm going to explain. Then age 1 to 3 is Mars. It's the terrible twos. We're walking around grabbing spaghetti off the neighboring table and our parents saying, no, don't touch. These are my toys. This is my candy. No. Mars is this discipline of boundaries. That's from age 1 to 3. Then from age 3 to 12 is Mercury time. And this is the period where you might have found where usually we're a princess and we want to ask our parents, I want to do these things. What's this all about in the world? We learn all about the world. We learn to be a friend and to communicate in friendly ways so that we can learn to communicate properly in business later on. Mercury is the one planet that's signified to have some difficulty in your chart, and it's a very important load-bearing wall. So learning how to communicate, freely communicating, not just communicating when things are important. That's a Mars thing. You're stepping on my toes. Stop that. That's not Mercury. That's Mars that speaks there. Mercury says, what kind of dance would we like to do? Well, there's lots of different dances. Have you ever heard of the tango? Let me see if this is worth us getting into. The tango. Oh, it's this kind of dance. I think we could do it. But there's also this type of dance, you know. Mercury is not an emergency planet. It looks sideways at all the opportunities that are open to it. You might have found that your parents, you might have found that maybe it was inconvenient for you to speak to these things when you were young, to talk about things in this way. And this might have caused you to not speak about how you would like to deal with debt. You know, you might have found that it's hard for you to talk about, like, you know, what am I doing with my money? Maybe your family was a little bit yucky about talking about money, talking about your daily energy. Where does all your daily energy go? And how do you manage it and invest it? It's important to consider your mercurial energy in this way. Now let's just do, you know, I'm just going to do a quick little schlunk here and pull a whole bunch of things together that I see being important for this reading. Number 1, we have Saturn Atma Karaka, which means so the Atma Karaka, Karaka is a signifier for something, and Atma is the soul. You know, you think of Mahatma Gandhi, he's the great soul. Maha means great. Atma means soul. right? So the Ankaraka is a signifier for something, which means whatever planet is the Atmakaraka, this planet winks and signifies a deep part of who you are and a deep wink at the soul lessons that you're going to learn in this life. It is your soul. You are a Saturn soul. And how we find the Atmakaraka in Vedic astrology. It's a very important part of astrology. It's something I base everything that I like to tell people, you know, I'm a Virgo. I'm a Leo rising. And you can see the bluster. Blah, I'm a Leo, right? But what do I talk about? Well, I'm an astrologer. I'm a psychologist. And I'm Venus Atmakaraka. I'm Venus Atmakaraka. I talk with people about relationships. What makes you happy? I'm like Carl Jung. I'm holding their hand. Like, what do you need to be happy? That's the things that I am. I just happen to be Leo rising in my presentation of it. But the Atmakaraka is the depths of the soul. And we find the Atmakaraka by finding the planet with the highest degrees in the chart. In this case, our friend Saturn is at 23 degrees of Capricorn. It's the highest degrees in its sign. So you are a Saturn gal, which, by the way, Donnie, is going to make it even more relevant when you get to be age 36, 37, and Saturn matures. You might find your whole life takes on a new meaning in the next couple of years. And you're going to see, this is who I was born to be, and now for once, all the other things that are stopping me from doing it are falling away. And now I can focus on who I am and what I'm supposed to be doing in my life. Because you are a Saturn gal. Saturn takes long to come together. With Saturn Atmakaraka, life is honestly a bit of a drag until your late 30s. Then when you start to finally, okay, screw it, it's time for me to mature and be who I'm supposed to be, it's a tough drag to get there. But when you do finally get there, you operate very strongly, very well, especially if Saturn's well placed, which it is in this chart. Good things, good blessings. Now, I gotta get my chat back up here. The next thing I want to say about this chart is something that's called the Swamsha. I gotta get another book, and I'm gonna get it. My desk is a mess right now. I should go get that book, but whatever. I'm going to get it. You are Saturn-like, and I invite you to research about Saturn. In fact, if you're interested, you might find yourself doing well to go on Google. Oh, no, wrong button. Hey, look, it's Ludo. Okay. We're going to go to Google, and you're going to look up Star Oracles Saturn Atmakaraka. And you're going to find, there's a few people who have made videos on it. You might get a bit out of that. But you want to look up Star Oracles, meaning of Saturn Atmakaraka. I love this gal. She's a tropical Vedic astrologer like me. Her name's Brooke. And you're going to find all about Saturn Atmakaraka in this little article. I highly recommend you check it out. And furthermore, the next thing, when you take Saturn Atmakaraka, you are going to put it in the Navamsha chart. The Navamsha chart is the chart which is your soul chart. It's going to show you, again, deeply running themes. And your Navamsha chart's really going to come into bloom at age 36 again. This is just a thing that happens at age 36. Everyone's life comes into a deeper focus. The Navamsha chart is the flower. The birth chart is a seed, but the Navamsha chart is the deeper soul flower. Now, what happens when we take the Atmakaraka and we put it, Robbie's already following where I'm going. We're going to take the Atmakaraka, which for you is Saturn. We're going to see where it falls in your Navamsha chart. in the soul chart. It has to do with the degrees. It's kind of like decanates. The Navamsha chart's a little hard to explain of how to find it. I have a video on my channel describing what the Navamsha chart's all about, and the Swamsha as well, if you're interested. We take the Atmakaraka, we look at its place in the Navamsha chart, that gives us the Swamsha. And the Swamsha is, again, a wink at the deepest soul desires that are going to be working through a person. And we find it's especially relevant when there's things happening in the Swamsha. It means it's very relevant. You have a lot of things falling in the same place, my dear. And it has to do with the moon, because your Atmakaraka falls into the Swamsha of Cancer, as my friend Robbie is pointing at for us. So the next thing I want you to do, Donnie, when you get time, look up Star Oracles, Cancer Swamsha. And you would find, written by Brooke, an article on the meaning of Cancer Swamsha. It is a Brahmin sign, noted as having the best potential for spiritual growth, along with Pisces and Scorpio. And what we hear from the ancients regarding Cancer Swamsha is that there is a fear from water. And this has all sorts of interesting connotations. It can mean emotions. It can mean actual water. Having a fear of swimming, being on the ocean, going on a cruise, even flying in a plane. You might be afraid that you'll jump in the water, and you might be one of those people whose worst nightmare would be to be out in the middle of the ocean. Maybe I'll spook you a little bit here just for fun. You're out in the middle of the ocean on nothing but a piece of, timber, like you're like Leonardo DiCaprio and the chick. And the chick was like, "No, Leo, there's not enough room." And Leo's like, "Please, you have no idea what it looks like." And then you look underneath. If you look underneath the board, you see no bottom. All you see is a bunch of whales floating underneath. A lot of people with Cancer and Navamsha would be like, "Oh my God, that freaked me out." So Donnie, you're Saturn Atmakaraka. And it doesn't flow exactly with Cancer, because Cancer Navamsha is an emotional signature. What I would say is this, Donnie. I think that you do have deep emotions, but because you're Saturn Atmakaraka, you don't put them on. No one would guess that you have strong emotions. You don't look like you have strong emotions. But as you get to age 36, as your Saturn matures, as Rahu comes into play, as your Navamsha chart unfolds, in the next coming years, I think the universe is going to start tapping you on the back of the head and saying, "Hey, you have a heart. You do have emotions. Your emotions are important. What love life means for you, what it means to be in the water. Water's cohesive. It blends things together. It is the great solvent, which means Cancer Navamsha can have to do with blurring together with people, with love. There's also a deep spiritual signature. This is a Brahmin sign. This is somebody who's into the soul, into mysticism, into spirituality, and all things that are associated with it. It's funny, as a Saturn Atmakaraka person, there's significations of being a tough gal who does what she needs to do materially, goes through what she needs to do materially to do what she's got to do. But the Cancer Navamsha in you probably loves to help people. It's probably important for you to feel soul bonds with people. For the sake of it, there's a movie that recently came out, relatively recently. It's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. This movie cracked me right open. It just, oh my heart, oh my God, I cried. There's so many parts in that movie that made me bawl my eyes out, folks. Bawled my eyes out. When you have a good Saturn, you can have a good cry. And I cried my eyes out watching Everything Everywhere All at Once. Beautiful movie. And in that movie, it's all about soulmates, right? The mother and daughter are in a soulmate relationship. And even though they've got these frustrations, they hate each other sometimes, the mother doesn't listen to the daughter, and the daughter begins to want to get away. That's the whole crux of the movie. I don't want to spoil it or whatever, but the daughter doesn't want to be in that soul contract with her mother anymore because the mother doesn't love her. But the people that come to us in life are soulmates. And that's what the whole movie is all about. Even Waymond, the woman in the movie, she has this husband, and she doesn't realize this husband has fallen out of love with her and he wants to divorce her and all this stuff. There's my clock, but that's okay. I've got to finish what I'm saying here. Even though all this junk can happen between us and another person or us and another animal, I personally believe that my cat is a soulmate of mine. We've been through a lot together. There's thousands of millions of cats out there, but he chose me and I chose him. We are soulmates. And he's a good dude. Hopefully I'm as good to him as he is to me. Soulmates. The feeling that this is a soul contract and we are bonded in the water. Cancer Navamsha can have a fear of that water. We're sitting in the same pool here. Our molecules are fusing together and becoming one. What does that mean for my water? What does that mean for my soul? That I've involved myself with these people, with this person, etc. And love is very important for us to realize that the universe brings us into these soul contracts for the sake of love, for a reason, so that we can extinguish and liberate ourselves from karma that we've resisted, that we can't let go of. Love is the most powerful solvent, like water. So having your heart torn open by identifying with other people is important for you. Thing is that Saturn is the furthest planet from the sun and moon, which means Saturn Atmakarka is not into this whole... Saturn says you're over there and I'm over here. We're two. See? These are my boundaries. These are your boundaries. Let's throw each other some tennis balls and love or whatever from our mutual spaces. So Saturn Atmakarka is technically, it's starved by the moon in the Navamsha here. What's especially crazy is that the Sun, Jupiter, and Mercury are in the stellium in the sign of Cancer, which brings much more to that. Now, God damn it. I've got a book that I would love to read right now. And I think it's upstairs. Well, you know, all things considered, yes, everybody should be looking up their Atmakarka. Find your Atma. We'll do that at the end here. If we don't, we'll have some fun. If I don't get a third reading, then we'll start at we'll do a bit of Atmakarka stuff. But for Dawn, it's okay. Don't worry about the time. For the sake of it, Dawn, the 11th house is important to you. The sign of Cancer is important to you. Love is very important to you. And on top of all of the material Saturn, like, you know, Cosmos is slapping you around. Come on, wake up. Come on. You're an adult now. Come on. You know, it's doing that kind of thing for you right now at this age. It's a very important time for you. Your life is coming into bloom and you're becoming the person that you are in terms of your job, in terms of what you need to do in order for you to be solid. That is Saturn. But interwoven through this, yes, Donnie, and interwoven through the Saturn narrative is Cancer Navamsha. There is a blooming of the heart, of soulmate energy, of love inside of you right now as well, Donnie. And all things considered, one of the things that would make this a little bit difficult, the moon's doing okay. Like, this is a good chart. It's only Mercury that's a little bit confuzzled. And it's important because all the planets going on, everything going on in Cancer, you see, we have dispositor chains, right? So let's take a simple example here. Wow, Mars is in its own sign. Venus is involved with this as well. It's funny. There's not really any examples we could give here. But let's say Venus is falling in the sign of Gemini. Mercury, which rules Gemini, is falling in the sign of Virgo. Did I fuck that up? Yes, I did. Sorry. Venus falls in the sign of Gemini. To know how Venus is doing, we would look at its dispositor. Mercury rules Gemini. So we would look at where Mercury is. Mercury is falling in the sign of Cancer. How do we know how Mercury and all these planets are doing? We look at how the moon is doing. The moon falls in the sign of Virgo. And what does Virgo rule? Virgo rules Mercury. So this Mercury moon trade-off is actually where everything in your chart drips into. Sun and Jupiter fall in Cancer. Moon falls in Virgo. Mercury falls in Cancer. Venus is involved in it as well. So this Mahaparivartana yoga, that's an exchange involving Mercury and the moon, the first and the 11th house lord. There's a real tie-in to the 11th house here, which means it's probably important for you to feel like you are somebody who's attaining what you seek to attain in life and gathering the people, the resources that you need to be with who you are and what you're trying to build emotionally. It's very likely that you're going to feel like you want to have emotional friendship connections with your businesses and your intelligentsia, your intellectual groups that you combine with. You know, the 11th house is like, if you're a biker, you're a dude who's into motorbiking culture. The 11th house is your buddies at the Legion who all get together and play poker on Saturdays. That's your motorbiking people. And when you connect with them, you're going to talk with some people about like, hey, I need this from my motorbike, because motorbiking is your life. So you talk with your friends and they say, oh, I know a guy who is connected with Yamaha and they make all those bike parts. You should connect with them. You know, this is the 11th house, is whatever your gains are that you seek to have in life, you hang out with people associated with that thing and make those developments and commitments. So your friends and community are going to be important for you. And it's important for you to recognize that there's probably a lot of funny and interesting soulmate connections happening through your friends and community. Donnie. Michaela, it's very nice to see you. We're going to open for one more reading on a donation basis. After this current reading, we're on our second reading right now for our friend Donnie Kim, and we're almost done. So Donnie Kim, this important need to identify with your community and find soulmates inside of your community. Don't be afraid to love the people that you do business with, which is it can be, there's a fickleness there. You know, mixing friends and business. This is kind of the energy that we see happening here. So don't be afraid to, but you got to be conscientious about boundaries, and especially, my dear, especially if you're going to make business friend partnerships, it's important for you to use your Mercury. If I was to really pinpoint this reading down to something important, I would say it's important for you to recognize that I think karma is going to encourage you to involve yourself in deep business relationships with friends and in community. And when you do so, you will find that you're dealing with people who you have soul karma with. You are liberating yourself through love with the karma of people that you do business with in a field that you believe in your field of work. And when you do, your Mercury, speaking when you feel like this doesn't work for me, I don't feel good about this, using your Mercury and saying, I feel we should do this as our group. Your Mercury is the one planet that is fickle in your chart, which means I don't want to predict, but let's say one of the pratfalls that could happen to you is that you get involved in these very deep soul binding contracts with people who are business partners and friends. Things start to go south. Possibly it would happen because you are not being clear with your communication, clear about your emotional boundaries, clear about, you probably might even find yourself, like there's so much luck in that sign of Cancer with the sign in Jupiter, with the sun and Jupiter there. Mercury is the one place that can muddy up the luck. So be aware of that. Be conscious of that. And don't be afraid of it. And if you look back on your life saying, I made some connections with people, I did business with friends, I lost some friends because of it, you're listening to your soul and even doing these risky things that could cause trouble in your relationships. You know, this could even be an energy that can involve itself romantically in some ways with people that are involved in these things. Your Saturn is good in the 5th house. It's maturing. I don't worry for it. I don't worry for Jupiter either. I think you're okay with love and relationships as a partner. The main thing is recognizing soulmateship and having these connections and not letting your Mercury be stepped on. Being aware that your Mercury and your voice and your lack of communication might cause problems in your business relationships, but you should still do it because it's your karma to have fun and be in the bliss of a friendship and community who you involve yourself deeply with. Just make sure you've got your own crocodile before you engage in that jaguar. Jaguar is 8th house energy, connecting with a bunch of people. You need to have your own crocodile, your own financial resources, your own job, your own home, your own happiness on your own 2 feet. That way, when you blend in with somebody, you're not losing your footing by being passionately blended with other people's money and business. If you get yourself involved with other people with money and business, you don't have your own crocodile, Saturn, Capricorn, crocodile, Makara. If you don't have your own crocodile, you don't have your own steady Saturn, then you won't have a say. You'll be afraid. You won't have power, and you won't be able to use the power that you have as an intelligent person to do what you're born to do as a business instigator, as an 11th house person, as a networker and communicator. There's a lot here. Have fun doing the research that you will on your Atmakarika. If you ever want to get in contact with me, we could talk about the fact that Virgo is in moon sign and the moon is in Mercury is in the moon sign and the moon is in Mercury's sign. That's a 1st house, 11th house thing that's very relevant to you. And there's always more that we could do. So for you and for everybody watching, if anybody's ever interested in going further in the readings that we do here, you can contact me at astrology@dustincormier.com and we can do a reading. But I hope this has been a good reading for you for now, Donnie. There was lots squashed in there. I was happy to do it for you, and thank you so much for being a part of this reading. Thank you very much. Now Donnie, you volunteered your time. You volunteered your birth chart. You did it. You tore the Band-Aid off, and you are a new member here on our channel as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope that this has been worth you joining us on this journey. Thank you for being a part of it. Well done, Donnie. I appreciate you being a part of this today. Now, for everybody who's watching, if anybody is ever interested, you can contact me at astrology@dustincormier.com. As well, I've just put my PayPal link into the description box. As I always like to say, comments are always appreciated, but never expected. Just Donnie, just you being a member here is already that's what I'm doing here for my channel members is these readings. But for everybody, I love to do what I'm doing here. I've already gotten a few donations today, which I'm very, very appreciative of. And so thank you for everybody for hanging out here. There's always so much that we can get out of these readings. Now, somebody had already asked if we're doing it. Michaela was asking if we were doing more readings today. So let's do this. The 3 readings every time I do this is getting to be, it's a lot unless I ask for a donation at the end. So it looks like we've got 7 viewers here today. If anybody's interested in doing a final reading, I'm going to put the donation at, I usually put it at $30. So a $30 donation would get you another half an hour reading. If anybody feels like doing that right now, now is your chance. You have the opportunity to do so. God bless my friend Monica has once again given me that amount. Maybe we'll do a quick peek for Monica at her kiddo, since Monica did give me the amount that I'm looking for. We are looking for, at present, I currently have a $40 donation. So if anybody wants to donate $40 or more, you have a chance now to get a reading. Yes, I am in Canada, Donnie. I am close to Toronto. Pretty much in Toronto, really. So our current donation is set at $40. We'll do a quick little Atmakarka thing. Capricorn, it looks like you've been talking with Robbie about this anyway. Robbie, I don't know if you got this information from her. That's funny. Canada holding her down up here, eh? Capricorn, you asked about Atmakarkas. Well, thank you, Monica. If nobody else gives a donation, we'll take a quick peek under the hood of your kiddo's chart. I'm happy to. Capricorn, for everybody, find your planet in your chart, not including Uranus, Neptune, or Pluto, or the nodes. Find the planet in your chart with the highest degrees. No asteroids either. Just the first 7 classical planets. Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn. Of those 7 planets, which one has the highest degrees in its sign? Find which one has the highest degrees in its sign. And I will tell you that that will be your Atmakarka. And if you feel like it, if you put the exact degrees in, we can find your Swamsha as well. Just so you can go on Star Oracles and find out what your Swamsha is, and you can do a little research on it for yourself. So if anybody wants to do that, feel free. Now, I just got another donation by somebody named Sky. I have a feeling I know who it is. Yes, I'm sure I do. But sometimes people don't want me to say the name. Thank you to the person who just donated. I appreciate you very deeply for it. And I was very happy to do all the readings today. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Sky. Thank you, Donnie. I really appreciate that donation. It really does mean a lot. You've already done all you need to do by joining my channel, but thank you very much for that very generous donation. Oh, I'm getting all the luck and love today. I'm not surprised in this Jupiter era. And the moon being with Jupiter, my cup is full. Now, that being said, I got lots of joyful energy here, and I've been very carried today. So let's do another reading here, folks. I'm actually not dying today. I'm pretty good. So I want to do one more reading. My friend Monica here is always supporting me. Thank you, Monica. Monica, honey, throw in your kiddo's time. Let's just do, we don't even need to do a full one, but let's spend a little time looking at your kiddo's chart and seeing what we might expect. Now, Rose. Okay, Rose, before I jump on with Monica here, I'll say, Rose, we currently have a donation at $40. So this is how I've been doing my readings, everybody. First one of the day is free. Second one is for channel members only. This is our 3rd reading now. We've done 2 readings today. We're at our 3rd reading of the day. The 3rd reading of the day is by donation. So our current bar is set to $40. Rose, my dear, if you would be inclined to donate $40 or more, then you can have a full reading right now for the half an hour, just like we've done with everybody else. If you should feel like it, how you would do it, you could do it directly on YouTube, or you can do it through PayPal here. Thanks, Monica. So I have my PayPal link here that you can go directly to through the YouTube chat. And if anybody donates $40 or more, then you can get a reading right now with me. It's basically works out to about, you know, for a half an hour, it's almost like $1 per minute kind of thing. Let me know how that goes, Rose, if you're interested in that. And of course, don't feel obliged to. If you don't feel like doing that today, then you can watch me on my channel. I usually do 2 of these readings a month. We will be doing the next one. Don't worry, folks, we're not done yet here, but I just want to say, for those who are watching and interested, our next reading is going to be Thursday, February 19th. Usually I do it the second Thursday, but I'm going to be busy that week. So the next reading. Okay, Rose. Thank you, Rose. And we appreciate that. But Rose, for your reference, thank you for being here with us and checking in. Our next reading is going to be again Thursday, February 19th. We do a Thursday in the month, and then we do the last Saturday. The last Saturday is going to be February 28th for all those who are interested. Now let's do our final reading of the day, folks. And thank you, Rose. Thank you for chiming in and being a part of it. Now let's take a look at Monica's kiddo here. Monica, your son is born. This is our 3rd reading of the day, folks. Let's start digging into it. New birth chart. Son. And we have Monica's son born on August 12th. Is born the day before you. So I'm sure that that's August. I don't think you guys are December. Yeah, you've watched my channel, so you probably know to put the month first. But just in case, Monica, if your son's born in December 8th rather than August 12th, just let me know. But let's say, I'm pretty sure it's going to be August 12th, 2002. August 12th, 2002. And he's born at 11:13 p.m. Is that right? Yes, 11:13, 22. Oh, wait, no, 22. Hold on, I gotta get my shit together here. August 12th, 2002. Thank you. So 22 is 10 p.m. But either way, I'm putting it in as 22 in my software. 22/13/00. Male, born in Austin, Texas, I believe it was. Texas, Austin State Hospital. I'm assuming that TX is going to be the Texas state code. Let's see if I've got this right, Monica. I've got him as an Aries rising. So let's see. August 12th, 2002 at 10:13 p.m. Austin State Hospital in Texas. Have I got that right, Monica? Duluth. Wow. Okay. Fuck. My bad. Why did I think Austin, Texas? My dumbass. Okay. His name is Austin. Gotcha. Thank you, Monica. That's much more clarifying. Okay. Duluth, Minnesota. And thank you, Robbie. Robbie's always got my back here, too. Duluth. Duluth Heights. Duluth Junction. Duluth, Minnesota. St. Louis. Is MN the right state code? Duluth, MN. Okay. And yes, so that does also put him as Aries rising. Okay, good. So, Monica, are we correct with an Aries rising? I always like to check just to be sure. No, it's okay, Monica. 22:13 is actually more clear. I like to say it in my head. That's 22, that's 10 p.m. Yes. All right. Looks like we're on the right track here, folks. Okay, everybody. You know what? Let's do a quick bathroom break. Might as well. I'll come back. I'll mow a piece of chocolate. And then we're going to get into our final reading for the day. Aries rising. I'm glad to hear it. Let's be right back. And we are going to dig into it. And yeah, I'll see you folks in just a moment, okay? When we come back, we'll do our final reading. Wish I had my other book that I got upstairs, but that's okay. You and your son have a lot of the same placements. Very interesting. Yeah, Capricorn. It's always a little bit easier to deal with it. But, you know, it's good practice to recognize that the signs and houses are different. There are different rulerships with regard to the houses. They are different, even though numerically there's a similarity there. But yes, with Aries rising, it's nice and clean because it is all uniform and the same. All right, folks, let's call this the last reading for the day. And you know, my bread is so buttered right now. I got lots of donations today, and I'm very thankful to everybody who's been hanging out with me and being a part of this self-realization journey. We have 30 minutes on the clock. Let's ring-a-ding-ding it. And I'm happy to go the 30 minutes. We're here. Again, my bread is so buttered. I got to give right now. This is Jupiter energy. Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. The Lord is serving me well. The least I can do is serve back as best as I can. All right. We have Aries rising. 2002. So this is August 12th, 2002. I'm 1991, so this person's 11 years younger than me. I'm turning 34, which means this person is turning 23. Am I right on that, Monica? He's turning 23? I believe that would be the case, and I think that would be your oldest then, if I remember correctly. So, 2002. What is 2002? Rabbit, dragon, snake. Oh, Year of the Horse. Love the Year of the Horse. So your son Austin is having his 24th year, coming into the year of the fire horse this year. He would be the water horse. And let's take a quick peek at all the main stuff happening here. Bit of a sore Mars yoga power. What's going on with Mars here? Mars is combust just like me. The moon is right at the 60 Paksha mark. So it's not quite bright, but it is waxing, which is nice. We got Rahu and Ketu on the Sagittarius-Gemini axis. Ketu and Pluto in the sign of Sagittarius. That's interesting. Sagittarius. It's interesting when you do a chart for a mother, because there's things that you can read into the mother and the sun. It's a different dynamic when you're not reading for a single person. You know, the mother plays a role in this person's life. He'll be 24 this August. All right, looks like we're on the right track. So, let's see. The moon is not Kamadrama, although the moon is with... Oh, that's just interesting. The moon is with Venus in the 7th house. It's a little bit of a playboy energy going on there. Venus being in its own sign of Libra is a nice thing. Jupiter's doing pretty happy chappy in this chart. Jupiter likes to be closer to the 1st house cusp, mind you, but it's with its friends, Mars and the Sun. It's not hemmed in, thankfully, and it's not combust. So Jupiter is very strongly delighted. But there is a signifier here. I just got to make sure. A planet is in the 5th house in conjunct Sun, Saturn, or Mars. Got it. Okay. Yes. So we do have, if this is correctly an Aries rising chart, we do have some shame happening here in the 5th house. It's particularly the Sun. So what we have is whenever a planet falls in the 5th house and it's with a malefic, then that planet is going to experience shame. It's almost like being with a malefic and with a node, because the 5th house is such a central point of focus and luck. When there's a burning out of this very important mitochondria of the chart, it's the 5th house. It's such an important luck and yogic spiritual talent and intelligence center that malefic's there with a benefic. The benefic wants to be used, but it's being crunched by a malefic in the 5th house. It messes with the 5th house as well as that planet. So really, Jupiter is doubly shamed here by Mars and the Sun. As well, the Sun shames Mars, and Mars shames the Sun. So that's a tricky thing going on there. There's, you know, even though Jupiter is still bringing goodness to this place, the Sun is in its own sign, which is nice. But there are significations of some shame happening between Jupiter and Mars and the Sun. You know, really, like, even a lot can be said there about that. Yes. I got you, Monica. Oh, yeah, he's Saturn at Makarka, just like you. So, Jupiter being shamed in the 5th house of children, of creativity. It's shamed by Mars and Saturn, by Mars and the Sun. Usually when Mars is shaming, there can be an unconscious shame. You know, keep this under your hat, Monica, but again, a lot of the times there's no, you know, this is the child's karma. This isn't necessarily too reflective of your karma. But what we do see with Jupiter shamed by Mars is that there might be some mother shaming activity going on there, but probably more so it's the father with the Sun there. The Sun and Mars. Sun is the father, Mars is kind of the mother in some ways. Not entirely. But Sun and Mars are shaming Jupiter in that 5th house. Yeah. And this would be relevant because of the Ketu Pluto in Sagittarius in the 9th house. This is the big, this is what my brain is going to as the big linchpin going on in this chart. Thankfully, Mercury's looking pretty toasty here. Pretty good. Is Mercury combust? Mercury's not combust. Happy in its own sign of Virgo. Yeah, that's a saving grace right there. That is definitely some saving grace for Mercury in that 6th house. Although again, Mercury also likes to be closer to the first house cusp. Ultimately, being in its own sign, being the Lord of Rahu and Gemini is going to help things out a little bit here. But, you know, okay, so first thing I'll say, before we get into Jupiter, yeah, especially Jupiter Mahadasha started at 21 years old in 2024. That's the thing to talk about in this reading, guaranteed. Now, before we do, your sun is in the Venus period, and I know, Monica, you've heard me talk about this important period. His dad and you had a difficult relationship. Gotcha. So we'll run through the Jupiter, but what it's worth saying right now, he's in the Venus age. Remember, from age 0 to 1 is the moon, from 1 to 3 is Mars, from age 3 to 12 is the age of Mercury, from age 12 to age 32 is the age of Venus. So in the Venus period, we want to enjoy Venus. We want to have breakfast first and enjoy breakfast. Get that sweet pancake syrup, put the icing sugar on it, the berries, enjoy the breakfast. So that when lunch comes, we got our breakfast, we got our indulgence for the morning. Now we can focus on the midlife, which is the Jupiter period at age 32 and onwards. Then after Jupiter, we go into the sun at dinner. You want to enjoy your Venus period. And there's a mix-up in romance between Venus, which Venus is itself is your sun's relationship with women. Because the moon is there with Venus, the moon is going to be starving Venus there. It's not too bad because Venus is in its own sign, but this is happening especially in the 7th house. Remember, when we have a Lajatati Avashta, it doesn't just bruise the planets, it also bruises the sign that the planets are in. So the moon starving Venus in the 7th house really shows that there would be, you know, Monica, I'll put it this way because this is just what's coming to my brain. It's better for you to hear it. I know you can take these things. What's signified is that your sun is trying to get a love from women that he might not have. I got to put this the right way. When the moon is starving Venus, there's an incessant need for the moon. There's a neediness there. And it's a love that is not allowing the Venus to bloom. Venus likes to be fair. Venus likes to appreciate, Venus in a man's chart especially. It can be tough for men who have Venus in a starved by the moon. Because the moon is a neediness, an emotional neediness that will cause them to be so desirous. I have needs, I have the soul desire that I want you to be a certain way. And that's the main problem. You've got to be careful when you want your lover to be a certain way, because then your lover can't be organic. They can't be themselves. The only way I'm going to be loved by my boyfriend is if I act in the way that makes him happy. The problem is that's limiting for both. So with the moon being starved by Venus in the 7th house, can be a playboy energy there. And it's either like an unconscious, like such a need that nothing ever feels satisfying enough. And that could lead to that kind of celibacy as well. Celibacy is indicating that he is going through some frustrations probably with women at the Venus age especially. Now this is going to double down. Let's see, you said he had very difficult few years. Oh, well, he was in Rahu. He was in the Rahu Dasha at a very young age. So now he's in the Jupiter period. Technically, coming out of Rahu and into the Jupiter period is a happy thing. He's gone through a long period. Like, he started his Rahu period when he was 3 years old. Rahu is all he's ever known. So now he turned 21 in 2024 and is now going through Jupiter period. This is the first time having a new Mahadasha in his life. It's Jupiter time now. Now, ironically, while Jupiter is a nicer Mahadasha overall, there's two tricky things happening here. It'll get easier for him in 2035, when he turns 32 years old. The bulk of this chap's Jupiter Dasha is occurring while he is in the age of Venus. And those two don't get along together. Oh, his Rahu is my Ketu. Very interesting. So he's going through, usually you want the Mahadasha to line up with the natural age. But in this case, he's in the Venus period. He should be enjoying Venus things. He should be exploring and enjoying what women are to him and what he is as a man to women. What is his gender? How does it connect with the opposite species or whatever species, whatever it is that he's looking to connect with? How do I make my energies enjoyed and enjoyable to the opposite sex? How do I make the opposite sex enjoyable to me? And how do I imprint some positive, sweet memories so that I'm not looking back when I'm 50 years old thinking I didn't scratch enough itches when I was in my 20s? Unfortunately, he's in the Jupiter Dasha while he's in the breakfast Venus period of that sweetness. And the Venus sweetness is going to kind of take away some of the luck of his Jupiter period. Not only that, but, this Venus period with the moon being starving Venus is going to make him feel like he's not getting as much out of friends, friendship, enjoying his own, really Venus is the water inside of ourselves. So there's a need to experience and enjoy that water. Now, what's really the big thing going on in this reading here, again, is that Jupiter is doubly shamed, that he's in the Jupiter Mahadasha, and that Jupiter rules Sagittarius, which has Ketu and Pluto in the 9th house there, in the sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter is very emphasized here. Because Ketu is there, there's not going to be that much that he can do to get out of the karma that he's probably experiencing with Jupiter. A bit of a pinch going on with Austin here. His soul has landed him at the breakfast table and put lunch in front of him. He's probably taken on more older person, the karma of an age that's older than him. When he's 36, he's going to come out of Sagittarius karma and move into Rahu, and that will help him balance the Ketu Sagittarius energy. Either way, it's always going to be a little tough for him. Ketu, Pluto has Jupiter for its lord, and Jupiter is shamed in this way. It's probably a load-bearing wall that will always be a little tough. Having faith through a father figure in himself is the main theme here. Guru and father, and how our father interacts with us is an important dimension of how our experience of guru comes through our soul. Now remember, guru doesn't just mean some dude in a loincloth telling you to sweep up the ashram for a decade. Guru is Jupiter, which is the dense heaviness of our dharma, our destiny. And the pressure of destiny is always pushing us like gravity so we can grow and sprout into who we truly are. We want that pressure. We want to take on responsibilities to become the mature person that we are in a joyful way. And this is guru energy. It comes from self-esteem. It comes from faith in yourself. And ideally, usually, it should come from your father, especially for a man. And it seems that because the sun, especially because Jupiter is shamed in the sign of Leo, there would be significations that parents in general, but specifically the father, would be giving this child the experience of some kind of shame. Now, good. it is good for it's good for somebody to encourage him and his father to have a healthy relationship. Sometimes with stuff like this, you got to dig. Like, none of your other kids probably have this same thing going on, right? This is a very specific karma. So what we have to understand is that sometimes it's not about the parental situation. Sometimes it's the karma of the child coming into this life, which is why you and your husband and his father shouldn't feel too bad about this. This is a karma that he has to work through. And at some level, you can't, you as a mother can be the person who sees it. You're the wise cat in the family who sees the astrology and who understands that he's going through karma that he needs to go through. At some level, you can psychically permeate him with this knowledge to show up as a better partner for our kiddos, pushing us all to go together. Awesome. Awesome. So Monica, my dear, this is your son's karma. And he is, there's nurturing, there's what he went through in his childhood. But again, your other kids aren't going to have the same karma as him, which shows that a lot of this is something that he needs to go through, which means that you shouldn't hold any guilt towards it. Don't hold too much of it into yourself. I'm glad to hear that this is generally understood. Now, with regards to Jupiter, let's look at some of the specifics here so we can kind of see exactly what's going on. Jupiter deals with our behaviors, philosophy, religion, wealth, and children, or that which we creatively produce in this world. And an ashamed Avashta, as this Jupiter is, it's twice ashamed. Jupiter will give reasons to feel bad or sensitive about the area of life wherever the Jupiter shame is happening. In this case, it's the 5th house. It's creativity as well as romance. Good. I'm glad to hear that, Monica. Now, this is the tricky thing, is that probably, especially because of the Sun and Mars causing the shame to Jupiter, I'm sure that he holds the pain of what you and your father went through in his relationship to his own romantic affairs through his 5th house. It doesn't help that the Moon and Venus are conjunct. So, it's nice that Jupiter is happy in the sign of Leo. This isn't all that bad of a karma. But there would be significations here that he might be carrying the feelings of shame related to the 5th house and relationships and romance. Romance is a very special word. It's falling in love with life on the whole. Someone with Jupiter doubly ashamed might feel like the parents, the father, the childhood upbringing, and even the sense of boundaries of being masculine and having masculine energy. And what does it mean to be a man? Because of Mars, Mars might even shame this Jupiter in this way. Am I manly enough? Have I been guided in my life to have masculine energy? Or did I get ripped off and now I feel like I'm not strong enough to deal with being a man, with being a husband, with having kids? Mars would give this masculine energy. The Sun would give a soul. Like, I don't have a good soul. I'm not a good person. I'm not a noble person. I don't have anything to contribute to society. I'm a piece of shit. Haven't had the childhood that would allow me to be strong enough to have that. So the masculine energy theme and the good, clean soul theme would both dirty up his self-esteem when it comes to having a love of life. This can cause depression. This can cause this kind of thing. This can cause the feeling that there's obstructions in my life, that I am blocked in feeling my best and feeling strong, feeling connected to the world, feeling like the wind is at my back. Jupiter won't be able to live, Jupiter will feel like it can't live up to its grand ideals. It'll always feel like I should be more, I could be more, and it will feel shame. And this will especially work through when it comes to him when he is romantic with people. That's probably why he's celibate. He's got to work on some self-esteem stuff. Work out whatever's happened to him in his childhood, with his family, with his parents, so that he can see that the conditioning of his childhood that has made him feel like he lacks self-esteem is what's causing that lack of self-esteem. And it's not permanent. It's not who he is. This is nurturing. The nurturing factor has stopped him from seeing that this Jupiter shame is something that's easy to bring into his brain, but it's not actually. That's the nice thing about the Logitati Avashtas. The Logitati Avashtas, Ernst Wilhelm put it perfectly. There's 5 Avashtas, and they all do different things. Logitati Avashtas relates to the element air, right? There's ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Logitati Avashtas relate to the pointing finger, which is air. Air is Vata. Air is the one Avashta that you can change. That's why Ernst Wilhelm puts so much emphasis on the Logitati Avashtas. It's not because they're the best. It's because they're the thing that we astrological counselors can work people through. Which means all this shame that I'm talking about with Jupiter here is a nurturing condition that happened in childhood, which is not actually intrinsically that deep in his soul. It's just what happened in this lifetime. But it's easier said than done. It could take a long time to work through the pain caused by it, especially while he's in his 20s in this Venus period. He's probably going to act on Jupiter. It's once he's 36, really even once he's 32. But 32 to 36, he's going to start to get a grip, and he's going to start to be able to not take what has happened to him in his childhood so seriously. He's not going to take himself so seriously. The shame is something that is useless to hold on to. Again, easier said than done, but this is a movable karma. The thing is that while he's in the Venus period, it's easy for us to talk about it, but no one understands a 24-year-old who has shame in the area of romance and wants to connect with people but feels like my mother and father didn't guide me to have a proper relationship with women. My father's not a good example of a father. I'm embarrassed at myself. And puberty is going bang, bang, bang. And so decisions can be made under that pressure that we have to let it be and love him and forgive him and be sympathetic to whatever he does and whatever he goes through. Guide him as much as we can. But ultimately, at some level, whatever's got to happen here has to happen here. And in the Venus period, we can see how the gray matter isn't there enough to understand and get through in the healthiest way this nurturing thing. You could take him to therapy and stuff, and you should. And he should go through therapy. He would do well ultimately at some point in his life to recognize that this is a karma that has to do with childhood programming that can be worked out. Very much so, can be worked out. So there's things, there's a grand ideal that he thinks he has to live up to and can't because conditioning. And this is one of those turkeys that kind of has to cook. Time has to assimilate for him how this is wrong. But, the Venus period is a good period to do it in because the Venus, Jupiter is the 5th house thing. So that's probably what I should focus on saying here. Really, this period in his life is more of a damage control. That's okay, Monica. No one's perfect. And everyone goes through what they're going through for a reason. You're the beauty that you are today because you've done everything that you've done. Hey there, Gamer TV. Thanks for being here. We're just having a reading at the moment for my friend Monica. So this is an important theme, and it's probably worth it and is good for us to move through a little bit of what can be expected here. One can feel shame about their wealth. Having too much wealth can even feel shameful for a person who has Jupiter shame, right? Because Jupiter, as we've said, is with Mars and the Sun in the 5th house. This can cause a bit of shame related to money and wealth. Might be shame about how money is managed. Like, oh, I'm not capable of dealing well with money. I never have been because of my childhood, my self-esteem. Both our philosophy and religion and money are intangible things that allow for tangible growth. When wealth is troubled due to Jupiter being in a Puravashta, material growth is stifled. The religion or philosophical ideals being troubling can also stifle inner growth. The inner growth and outer growth are a reflection of each other. So it might do well for him to learn and discuss and talk about things related to religion, related to culture. How do you feel in your culture? What do these things mean to you? So him being hard on himself is definitely a part of this theme that we see going on here, right? And, you know, God bless him. There's karma that he does have to move through where he's at. But that being said, you as a mother are in his life. He's lucky to have you in his life. And, you know, what's funny is that, you know, a tricky, necessary thing would be finding ways of teaching him how to find how to find an appeasement of Venus himself without you as mom necessarily pushing him too hard to do it. It's a funny thing because his moon, which rules his 4th house and rules his mother, is starving Venus. So he might feel it's the way his mother has taught him to be that he is how he is with women. So it's a funny, again, the moon conjunct Venus is a Lajjatati Avashta, and it can be worked through. You know, you being his mother, it might do well. It might even feel embarrassing to talk about the fact that your father and I didn't give you a good example of what it's like to be a man in life. And this might have caused you to feel embarrassed about how you are with women. And, you know, to talk with him about it. You know, that could be something that you as a mother can talk with him about and move through it with him with love and with understanding, but also hearing things from his perspective, hearing things from his generation's perspective, because he is of a different generation. His Pluto is sextile to yours, 2 signs ahead. There's the end of our reading there. That's just making sure we got that figured out. But that's okay. I always like to get everything scratched out if we can here. This Jupiter theme is definitely a very important and key aspect of this reading. And I would be mindful that his spiritual growth probably isn't going to fully come through until he gets to about age 32. In the meantime, what he's moving through right now is not, you know, not that spirituality isn't involved with everything, but okay. The main picture for him right now is making peace with Venus. Making peace with being a young man in his 20s, having genitals, having pleasures, having desires, not feeling shamed about them, and learning how to communicate with proper emotional hygiene in a relationship. With friends, with lovers, and with the opposite sex, with the moon and Venus together in that 7th house. That should be his main gig right now, and encouraging him to do that while also having the deeper picture of what you're looking to do in your life. You know, this isn't to say that you want to tell him to just only focus on girls and being a playboy and working out those emotional things. But if there's guidance that he could use right now, it would probably be overall philosophical guidance, but also, you know, winking at the fact that female kind, women, and your own gender as a man, being a man, what that means to be a man, working through not being embarrassed for how you like to be in love, recognizing that he might have an emotional neediness which can be spoken to and worked out, so that when he's in a relationship with a woman, he understands that no woman can ultimately satisfy anybody. We have to satisfy ourselves first. And then again, it's the two circles coming into wholeness thing. Finding that wholeness within himself, and in relationships, applying proper emotional hygiene. Emotional relationship hygiene. Learning to talk to girls and learning to develop a deeper sense of need and bonding and trust with them, so that he doesn't feel like they are sapping his energy, which can probably feel the case. Again, that's that he probably feels he's draining them and that they're draining him unconsciously, and that's why he's like, fuck it, I'll just be celibate. He's young and free, and that is important for him to experience and explore at this time. Be patient with him. Now, let's just do a quick peek here. He's Saturn-Namakaraka like you. He's got Saturn in Gemini. Saturn is in Taurus in the Navamsha chart. So he is a Taurus Swamsha person, which brings even more, that's nice. He's radiating the energy of an exalted moon. Taurus Swamsha is somebody who has the consciousness to bring together emotionships on 4 feet. He understands the importance of this. He understands the importance of a 4-legged animal needs 4 legs all working together. It's like, that saying, somebody's working for a company and the boss calls him and he's an employee. And the boss says, you see, Joseph, working a company is like a centipede. All the little legs have to be working together in order for this company to work. Joseph, you're a busted leg. That's like that whole thing, right? So each person in a relationship needs to not be a busted leg. And that's not just him. That's also the partner. He needs to learn to communicate what he seeks in love. And he needs to ask what the other person seeks in love. Because this is Taurus. This is the quadruped. Finding these people in his life who he can feel solid about, including his own family, his own mother, his own siblings, and ultimately his family, his community, but his deep loved ones who he can bond with. It's all very Taurus Swamsha stuff. And communicating to him really that he was the type of person, that he might do well to think about himself being a relationship person. And with all the time that he's got right now, exploring what that means for him. Right? Finally, one last peek at his moons. Nakshatra, looks like it's Chitra. Planetary. Yeah, he's Chitra moon, all right. And Chitra moon is nice. Chitra moon can have a little bit more of this self-esteem thing. With Chitra, it's like a pearl inside of a clamshell. It's too shy to open up and share the pearl that's inside, but it tries to make itself even more of this grand ideal energy. Not to mention the fact, am I right? Yeah, he's got Neptune and Uranus in the 11th house. Chitra moon can play into that with this feeling that I need to be somebody. I want to have attainments and I'm not there yet, and it's frustrating that I'm not there yet. Ultimately, there's a shyness to this person. And again, this theme of emotional maturity, researching it, exploring it through therapy, and at some level just getting out, opening his heart, and exploring life outside of his own individuated little space. The last thing really to say is that because he's Saturn, not Makaraka, it will again take him till about age 36 to be fully on his feet. And so this is a person who is going to be much better after age 36. The main thing that can be said about a chart like this is patience for everybody. I wish I could say that to him and for it to mean something, but it would only mean something if he was watching me on a screen and he had this relationship, because this is an indirect thing. I'm talking to you as his mother. The ideal thing would be for him to trust that this is all happening for a reason. But, you know, I'm sure that he hears that from his very spiritual mother and says, okay, Mom, thanks. You know, but it only means so much to him in the way he feels things. Really, for you, Monica, I would say be patient with this fella. His life has to cook. This is a turkey that has to cook. He's not even through his Saturn return yet. Saturn return will be the beginning of him coming together, because he's Saturn out Makarka. Until then, it could be a bit of a grind. Even in Saturn return time could be tough. Ultimately, he's in Jupiter Mahadasha, which is a blessing. There is some goodness there. You know, the real nice period for him is when he's going to be age 32, and he'll be in the Jupiter Mahadasha for about like 5 solid years there. From 32 to 37, it's going to be a good time for him to finally enjoy Jupiter, to do what Jupiter's supposed to do, to let the universe open doors for him through the energy of guru and self-esteem. That's really when he's going to be most capable of getting that. Then at age 37, he's going to turn into the Saturn Mahadasha. And this is going to be an important time with more themes related to his Atmakaraka. But Saturn's going to be maturing at that time anyway. His whole life is going to really start to come together. There'll be a bit of pressure on him. He's going to come out of the Jupiter Mahadasha, which feels always like a bit of a drag. But those 5 years between 32 and 37, necessary things are going to happen to bring him back into alignment. Until then, love him like a good mother does. Yeah, you being Saturn Atmakaraka would help him, because you are emitting and radiating the energy that is ultimately good for him. It's a maturing energy. Awesome, Monica. You got it. And this spiral of life is something that you can support him through. And God bless him. It might be tough for a little while. There's nothing in here that's making me say, like, oh, I'm worried. Especially because these are Lajatadi Avashtas that are the main things. The main theme here is that he's got to get old enough to account for what has happened in his childhood and not take it personally. It's the main thing that has to happen here. Jupiter is the only planet that is below the expected Shadbala. And it's pretty much at 100%. The moon's his strongest planet, which is nice. Because the moon, having a good moon, because he's Taurus Swamsha. Having a good moon and Taurus Swamsha, he's radiating the energy of an exalted moon, which means that he's probably actually a chill dude. He's probably at some deep level of him, beyond all of his neuroses. I could sit with him and be like, yo, this guy's chill. Women probably think the same thing. Overall, like he's probably got a chill, grounded personality. It's just the stuff that he's got to move through that has to work itself through. You know. Now, I'm glad to hear he doesn't take things personally. I'm willing to bet that when he gets past the gray matter phase of age 25, 26, Saturn matures, gets to be age 32, Jupiter age is going to come through. He's going to see that maybe he might not show that he takes things personally or that he's holding on to things from his past and his childhood. But that age is going to kick him into realizing it's one thing to say, I'm not bothered by that. It's another thing to work out shadow trauma by, like, again, doing therapy or taking on big projects that brings out your shadows. And now it's like, where are all these shadows coming from? I never took anything personally. Well, you have been unconsciously carrying these things. Not that I know that any more than you do. You are his mother. But keep it in mind. You know, people don't always show that they're holding on to things until the moment comes when they're 32. They want to live a proper life. But what is it that's dragging me down? It's all these things that I've been holding on to. Right? Yeah, I can tell he's probably down to earth with Taurus Swamsha, with the nice moon like he's got. The moon is nice. it is going to take him, he's probably got that enjoyable personality. It is going to take him a little time to work out the moon conjuncting Venus, which means he's enjoyable on the surface, but he has some work to do in terms of developing depth with women in the opposite sex. I think he can do it. Ultimately, what's nice is that Venus is in its own sign, and that's going to help him a lot. So, Monica, my friend, I hope that this has provided some reflection. I have absolute hope, especially because he's got you for a mom, and you guys are working these things out. You're encouraging everybody to be going through the therapy that they need to move through. Ultimately, it's important to recognize that your son is his own man. There is a level of bonding in a mother where she'll always feel like I've got some hand in his destiny. And God bless you, you're a mother. I'm not going to try and stop you from feeling that. But I am going to, there is always a smile here. And the smile in this situation is that your child now gets to have the bliss of moving through his karma. And you get to support him. He's your soulmate. And I know you, Monica. I know if you're anything like you are on my channel with him, then I know that he's in good hands. I have such a thing for mothers. I'm very close to my mother in my life. And having a close mother in my life has made me who I am. God damn it, I wouldn't be who I am without my mother. And I know he's in good hands. Just remember that he has the ability to live his life. And you can support him. And no matter what goes on, having the support to move through gunk in the soul is a blessing. And that's exactly what he has in this life. Sometimes we got to move through gunk in our life. But if we have the support to do it, by the yogi's reckoning, the alchemy's in play. And that's all we can really ask for, is to have a problem and the means to solve it. That's the best we can ask for in this incarnation. It's almost, some would even say that it's better than having a blissful life where there is no problems. Some people say, a lot of yogis get to nirvana, they go, all right, I beat the game. Now send me back so I can do it again, so I can involve myself in gunk, so then I can come back to nirvana again. Samadhi is always there beyond time. But this is our part of the joy of samadhi. And I know you know these things, Monica. God bless you. I just, I like shooting the shit about this kind of stuff. Monica, my dear, thank you so much for volunteering your time and taking a peek at your son's chart in this way. If you can of course show this to him if you feel like it, but I'd be happy to connect with you anyway with your kids. He's 24, so he's getting to an age where he can understand this shit, but don't ram it down his throat. He has to be called. If he's ever called to this stuff, my door is open for you guys, I assure you. But let him feel called to it. Ultimately, it's a blessing that you care enough to be doing this stuff with him. Thank you very much, Monica. Thank you very kindly for sharing your time with me on my channel and your son's chart. It's been a delight for me in doing a chart for somebody indirectly in this way. That's been cool. So let's call it a day, folks. It's 1:30 in my world. Yeah, you got it, Monica. It's 1:30 in my world, and now I'm Hongo Chongo. Let's go eat some food. For all of you who have been watching live, thank you very much for being a part of this reading. And for anybody who would ever be interested, you can always email me at astrology@dustincormier.com. If anybody feels like it, and I've already gotten so many wonderful, so much support today for this live reading I've done. If anybody ever feels like it, you can send me a donation through PayPal, my little PayPal link that we have here. Yeah. Yes, readings can do that to you. They can be draining in that way. Thank you so much to everybody who's been here. And if anybody's interested, if you enjoy the work that I'm doing, I'm currently just steeped to my gills in my writing. I can't wait to start getting my books out there. And you can check me out at dustincormier.com/subscribe to subscribe to my email list. Not my channel membership, that's a different thing on YouTube. But my email list will keep you informed about my writings and all the stuff coming through in my life. I'm very excited to start getting some literature out there. There's going to be poetry, a novel, as well as an astrology book. It's all coming along within the next couple of years, folks. I've actually got one coming out this year. It's my first little taste of my literature world that you guys are going to see. You'll be hearing about it as it comes along. For now, everybody, yeah, no kidding, thank you very much, everybody. I'm in touch. My name is Dustin Cormier. This is How to Rock Astrology. We are going to have our next reading in February. It's usually the second Thursday, but this time it's going to be February 20th. Nope, sorry, February 19th. Thursday, February 19th should be our next reading unless anything changes. And then the next week after that will be the Saturday. I like this format. We're going to go free reading, channel membership, and then paid reading. I feel pretty good about that. So namaste, folks. See you guys on the other side. Thanks for our watchers, our viewers, for hanging out live, and the people who always support me. And for those watching at home, take care. I'll see you guys.